It's time for MacBreak Weekly. Rene Ritchie's here, Andy Nacco's here, Alex Lindsay is here. We're all going to get together and talk about next week because WWDC is on its way. What will Apple announce? New laptops? A new Siri device? New iMacs? Maybe even new Mac Minis? Stay tuned for our speculation right after this.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for MacBreak Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 561, recorded Tuesday, May 30th, 2017. Self-organizing Nanoballs. MacBreak Weekly is brought to you by Upside, the smart new way to save big money on business travel. Visit Upside.com and enter the code MacBreak to be guaranteed at least a $100 gift card when you book your first trip. And by WordPress. WordPress powers 27% of all websites. Get 15% off your new website at WordPress.com/MacBreak. WordPress.com/MacBreak. And by Oars and Alps, powerful skincare made for a guy's active lifestyle. Join thousands of men using Oars and Alps today. Go to oursandalps.com/twit to receive 15% off your first order. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, the show where we cover the latest news from Apple. As we get close, the countdown to WWDC. Rene Ritchie is here from Montreal, though he'll be in the Bay Area soon.
Yes, sir. Leave Saturday.
iMore.com. Yikes.
Can't wait.
Here we go.
It's like Christmas and Apple Day all rolled in together.
Andy Nacco, also here from the Chicago Sun-Times.
Hi there.
Hi there.
I'm going to be. I am the designated survivor of the panel.
You're not allowed to be
on the East Coast.
Yeah.
If this was just some sort of evil plan of Apple to move on to to stage 2 or stage 19 of their plan and locking the doors and gassing everybody or putting in some sort of a chip,
Jesus, that got dark.
I'll be. I mean, in the classic Batman thing where they gas everybody, everybody's unconscious for like 8 hours.
Like Goldfinger in the Fort Knox.
And then when they wake up, they find that like in their name, amazing reviews of everything they announce have just been posted to every single outlet.
And lo and behold, I had a dream last night that the prodigal son would return to MacBreak Weekly, and here he is, Alex Lindsay.
Hey, how's it going?
From the Pixel Core. It is well. They will be streaming WWDC Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific. Add it to your calendar, says Appful.
Oh, and breaking news, Leo, relevant to our interest. They've just announced the schedule, and they're going to have Apple Podcast Studio. So podcasters can reserve the same day for up to an hour of on-site podcasting, up to 4 stations per podcast, 60 minutes with Apple experts to help you get your recording done.
What are we doing, Karsten, on Monday? I will not be here. I'll be on an airplane to Miami.
We will be live streaming the keynote, as usual.
As per usual, we'll be here in the morning. It'll be Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak hosting our coverage because everybody else is gone. No, actually, I don't. Have we booked anybody?
Yes, it will be Nate,
Nathan Oliveras Giles,
and
Megan Maroney. Andy, if you'd like to join us, you're more than welcome to. WWDC may have now. It's a worldwide developers conference, but nowadays, Apple takes every opportunity in front of the press to tout something that's of interest to the public, right?
Yeah, it's an opportunity to sort of tell the story of what they think is important and what kind of moves them over the next year. Because since they have to turn over so many cards for developers over the next week, rather than have that sort of stuff leak out and say, that's interesting, there's a new window type that involves having an actual emoji of a thumb on the corner. I wonder what that means. So that's why they'll spend an hour and a half saying, okay, and it's the best version of Mac OS ever, and here's why we're doing that. So yeah, the world's it's I love how these past 2 or 3 months work. It's Microsoft and Google and Facebook and Apple all. They don't have a constitution that forces them to do an annual State of the Union address, but this is their State of the Union address. Google came out really strong last time, and now we get to sort of see what Apple wants people to think of it for the next year.
MacBooks. I think Gurman said MacBooks, so I think we can trust that will be MacBooks or MacBook Pros. That will be
some interesting stuff. I mean, Apple didn't do the Kaby Lakes previously because they didn't have the right chips. Maybe they have the Kaby Lake chips they want now. And Intel just announced i9, which is super interesting.
Isn't that interesting? This is the high performance desktop processor. With
like 12 cores, I think.
I think it could go even
or 15,
higher.
Is it 15?
Yeah. It's some ridiculous number of cores.
And AMD has their Threadripper.
Yeah. Well, what's so funny is I didn't really realize the market for this, besides people like Alex Lindsay, is Twitch streamers.
Wow. Because
they are playing a game, probably a fairly challenging game, at the same time as they're encoding and sending live video, all on the same PC. So...
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at some of the the Razer, I have a Razer, and with and its ability with a Kaby Lake chip to do an awful lot is pretty amazing.
Yeah,
so it's there's a lot of power in those in the new chips.
Up to 18 cores in the i9.
Yep.
Oh my God, this is the new X series, and AMD. It's interesting at the same time. I guess it's because Computex, the big PC conference in Taipei, is going on right now. But same day, both announced Extreme editions.
Yeah, we have Alex Doby from Android Central there. I think he's going to be at that event. It'll be fun.
Ryzen, which is AMD's hardcore part, it's not going to be a Ryzen for their high-end desktop platform. It's going to be, or is it? Oh yeah, the Threadripper is a Ryzen. It's Ryzen platform. Yeah. Okay, Threadripper.
What a great name!
16 cores, 32 threads on the X399.
Icebreaker.
Be interesting if Apple. Boy, it'd be a big deal if Apple decided to put AMD in. I mean, it's all x86.
Like competition. Like as long as they're all making great chips, that is better for us. If they're just dependent on whatever Intel squats out every year, that's not great for anybody.
Right. I wouldn't. Yeah. Has Apple ever done an AMD? I don't think so. No.
Not a CPU. They've done graphics. They've done the GPUs, but not a CPU. And they're going very different. Like the Intel CPUs are going high, where they're making single GPUs that are super powerful. Where I think AMD's goal is to go wide, which is similar to what Apple does, which is to try to make the multiple GPUs that talk together and present as one logical GPU. And I don't think anyone's ever done that well yet. So it'll be interesting to see if they can. Super interesting. So excited, Leo.
I just bought I gave up on Apple, and I bought a Kaby Lake Windows machine.
So that means they're shipping for sure.
Which means for sure they're going to do it, yeah.
Which means that Rene, it's between you and me to serve as the new host of the show.
Yeah, I'm leaving.
I assume Alex is going to be too busy.
See you. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye. It's bad enough that I do the show on a Surface, studio, but then...
And you're playing Xbox Live while the show is on.
You know what? This convinced me that I do want touch even on a laptop, and I notice when I'm using it, I use it. It's really it's an alternate input method. It's not like my full-time input method, but I still use the mouse. I still use the keyboard. But sometimes there's just a button, and you just want to hit it. You just hit it. Or I use it a lot for scrolling. It's a very natural way to scroll, and I like that.
I don't feel like you need to rebuild the entire operating system just to make it touch. It's just that there are certain things that are easier to touch. It's easier to draw on things. It's easier to make. Those are the kind of things that I think are just a lot easier to manage.
And just mirror the trackpad on the screen, right? Just take the exact same commands from the trackpad and put them on the screen.
Well, and that's kind of Apple's response to touch was, we'll just put it in the trackpad/touch bar.
Do the screen too. Like just everything that works on the trackpad, put it in the screen too. Don't care about the hitting little tiny tap targets.
Is there any chance that they will do that?
No.
Probably
I don't. Apple's just not the company that would say we think that this is a cool thing for people to figure out if they like or not. They always this is a good thing about them. They always think about, we don't want to give you a feature. We don't want to give you a piece of hardware. We want to give you a solution to a problem. And until we can present this as an entire solution to a problem that is deeper than some people want to touch the screen, they're not going to do it.
Also, better keyboard. It's a Lenovo ThinkPad, better keyboard. Not as good as the old Lenovo's, but still pretty darn good. A lot better than the MacBook and MacBook
better
Pro.
than the Atari 400, which makes it better than the MacBook Pro.
Ports. It's got 2 Thunderbolt ports. And by the way, it will use a Macintosh charger to charge, which is always handy. I have a few of those. But it also has 3 Type A USB 3.0 ports. It also has a full-size HDMI port. It has a weird mini Ethernet port. That's a little strange, but at least it does have a physical Ethernet port, and I just bought the adapter. I feel like I was tired of compromising. And yeah, I much prefer. Here's where I miss it. Here's where I really miss it. So I use a lot of open source utilities. I use GPG, GNU Privacy Guard, for encrypting and signing email. And there's no problem. I have GPG on the Windows machine, but I want to do what I can do on the Mac, which is drop to the terminal and run it from the command line. And you kind of sort of can, because they put Bash on there. It's Ubuntu on Windows. It's horrible. Well, it's Caliban. Yeah, but I can't get to the folder because it's cherooted and it's weird. And I just want to drop into the terminal. Every once in a while, I do miss that. That's the thing that Apple does, I think, really nicely for some people.
Yeah, I'm keen to see what they're going to do when they show off the new MacBooks next week, and they're almost certainly going. All the indicators are that there are going to be announcements of new MacBooks next week, and I don't know if they're going to do. Hey, we now have the new processors that you've been really wanting for the past since the George Bush administration. Hey, now, but I'm wondering if they're also going to sort of show off, or at least hint at a roadmap for the future, because I don't anticipate anything revolutionary. Beyond
they'll look the same.
Hardware.
They'll look the same.
Right? There won't be anything new, but it'll give them a chance to refine the story of the touch bar. Certainly at WWDC, they have a chance to say, we've now had 6 months of experience looking at how people and how developers are using the touch bar. So now we've refined it. And now here are the new resources that you're going to have in the next version of the operating system. I do think that this is a year when a lot of people are done settling for a laptop that they don't really like. I hope that this is a year in which people don't just buy the next, oh good, this is a new CPU. I still hate this. I still think this is a big pain in the butt. I still wish I had a computer that's more like my wife's, who has all these ports and it's a lot more easy to use that I keep borrowing all the time. I really want people to stop settling for something that they might not like. If you love the machine you're buying, great. You don't have to listen to anybody who disagrees with you, because it's all about you and it's all
I'm
about
super
what you
happy.
Like. But don't think that. Well, I have not bought my primary computer has never not been a Mac ever since I was in college or since I was in high school. Yeah. I can't not have a Mac. Always make that look at it and say, if there's something that really cheeses you off, you're not supposed to spend $2,000 for a computer you don't like, especially if you did not spend some time looking at alternatives that you might absolutely be in love with.
This is kind of where Apple has I guess it's an advantage, disadvantage. A lot of what Apple has going for it is advantage and disadvantage. The advantage, disadvantage Apple has is that it's, Apple makes all the hardware. So there's a very kind of clear, you almost could say, buy the Apple you can afford, because there's just kind of this clear linear thing of SKUs. On the disadvantage side is there is this massive Windows ecosystem, and there's hundreds of hardware manufacturers, and every possible bizarre configuration you can imagine. And so you do have choice on the Windows side. Sometimes, Apple's not famous for choice, is it? That's not really what Apple's all about.
Again, there are advantages to Apple's approach. There's advantages to Microsoft's approach. And rather than go into another 20-minute thing that people on Twitter are not going to like, I'll just say that I think that in the past, Apple has been more aware and more determined to say, well, if we're the only people making Macs, we got to make sure that we have a breadth of portfolio so that everybody who's interested in a notebook will find something that they can like, if not love, at least like in our line. And now they're simply saying, we're for everybody who we have a different MacBook Air for everybody who wants an MacBook Air. Yeah, but I don't want a MacBook Air. And now here's your MacBook Pro Air. You're welcome. But do I have one? You're welcome, I said. And it has a new CPU, but I don't like. You're welcome.
How long before somebody? So Sarah in the chat room, and I agree with her, says Apple's on its heels with laptops in particular. But Colorado Bra, points out that Apple has the cool factor. Every time you go to a conference, even Windows press conferences, every celebrity, they all have that glowing Apple logo shining.
Until they don't, right?
Until they don't. I mean, how long?
And the logo doesn't glow anymore, Leo. How would they give up that advantage?
No more glowing logo.
Why would they give up that?
in an all too direct irony, the light behind the Apple logo on Macs has gone out.
Oh, God. But I know what Alex Lindsay is waiting for. He didn't care about the MacBooks. He cares about a Mac Mini, an iMac, and a Mac Pro. You want desktops, right? I'm sure you use laptops.
We have a lot of laptops. It's not.
But you like the minis, I know, right?
But I love the minis. I mean, we use them a lot for again utility tools, and they're really really great because I can rack two of them into. I mean, again, what we really want is the ability to have some rack mountable solutions, and so
I'd love to see better minis. I really would. That would be that's an opportunity for Apple.
Yeah, and for us, I mean, the upgrades that we've had to do have been mostly just moving them to SSD drives from the spinning drives that they had, and
what do you use do you use a putty knife to open them?
I don't know how the guys do it, to be honest with you. I just know
that's a real skill. It's not an easy thing to open a Mac Mini.
We got a guy. We got a second story, man.
We've been appliance size. Yeah. I think I told you guys I bought one 2 or 3 weeks ago so we could write about Mac OS server, and it was running El Capitan, and that just broke my heart.
I know. You did say that.
Don't move.
Yeah,
those things just don't move.
Come on, guys! At least go around the store and put Sierra on it.
Re-shrink wrap them.
The most you can get right now.
Update them so they don't get new hardware. So people don't buy them, so they don't update them.
Let me see how much I can load up a Mac Mini here. If I could put a 3 gigahertz dual i7 in it, no more than 16 gigs.
That's not even Skylake.
Yeah, I wish I could put more. I could put a terabyte TC.
I don't even think it's Broadwell. Is it still Haswell?
Oh my God. Well, but you plug it in, so that's less important, right?
And I think that for us, we don't really need it to be high performance. We're using it for, we actually use probably more of them for producing scopes, video scopes than probably anything.
Well,
else.
we shouldn't be spec monkeys. I mean, the spec monkeys out there say, well, you don't have a Kaby Lake i7. What good is it? You're right. You don't.
We're not.
But it is valid in terms of feature. Like if you don't have Bluetooth 4.0, you don't get half the features of continuity or anything anymore. So if they're not updating those things with latest radio technology and chipsets, and
they're not,
the future proofing is not. Well, I think that's got Bluetooth 4.0 on it, but I don't know. Like it doesn't have the latest chipset, and who knows what's going to be table stakes in a year or 2 or 3 from now.
And again, I think that when we think of the trash cans and when we think of the iMacs, we think of performance. For the minis, they are, for us anyway, they are glue. They're going to play out media. They're going to do some kind of video thing. They're going to produce some web for the wall or there's lots of little bits and pieces, but we're not trying to run a business on them, or do heavy duty graphics or anything else. That's what we expect to do from the trash cans or from the Mac Minis or the Mac Pros. I shouldn't say trash can, but
I wonder how well those because there's a similar form factor in the PC world. Intel calls it NUC, the new unit of computing, but everybody makes these things. I wonder how well those do on the PC side.
They're okay.
I've got one for a server. I just love it. It's just in my office. It's a little server, and it's great.
Like I ordered one. I think I was going to get a NUC, and it was like a NUC kit. So then it kind of becomes a project just to put it together.
Yeah, you get a Newegg, you're going to get a bare bones NUC.
That Andy has 3 Raspberry Pis that outperform it already.
You want a knuckle sandwich. You don't want to. You're give me the mayonnaise, bologna, and the lettuce. I want all 3. Yeah.
Yeah,
I got pretty excited. Wow, you mean that I can get like an i7 based like NUC for only $180? Like, oh no, that's only if you don't want it to have a CPU or a hard drive or Wi-Fi or okay. Lovely box.
But I like the form factor. I really do. And really the truth is, you could even use desktop computing. You spend the money on a monitor, keyboard, and mouse, and you put the NUC underneath the desk or whatever. And
we did an event that it wasn't us, but another company had a NUC for every screen, and that was looking at a web browser, and looking at different pages that were updating with images and movies and everything else, and driving like 30 screens, but it was like 30 little NUCs all like tied together, and it was just interesting when you have so many little computers. You can have a lot of fun with it.
I feel like it's a little opportunity missed, but Apple's very good at focusing. It's at not being distracted, and that would maybe be a distraction. How about the iMac? It's due. Will we see an iMac update next week?
The timing is always to be determined. Those could be press releases depending on how, if to get stage time, it has to be pretty impressive. Otherwise, it could just be a press release. It could be a press release the week after. But they're due for the Kaby Lake updates, and maybe they're due for one of those new impressive Intel chip updates, because Tim Cook said that they're going to have more pro-level desktop iMacs. And
he said that this year, I think, right?
He said that this year and at the very end of last year in that employee QA update. He said,
but I mean, he implied he said we're not going to do a new Mac Pro this year, but we will have something for you. Although, didn't he say by the end of the year in the iMac? Maybe he said,
which is why the timing,
like
depending on availability of the new chips and things.
Yeah, it's interesting the language that they use. I think Apple has historically said that. I think that we get ourselves in trouble as users and as consumers because when we think that we've got great new stuff for pro users coming up, we assume great, you're going to be updating the Mac Pro, or that's great, you're going to be doing this. When they're looking at user data and they're saying that most of our pro users, admittedly because they've been horrified by our Mac Pro towers, have been using iMacs, but they're happy with them. So why don't we make iMacs that are more heavy duty, that are more suited for people who are using pro type apps?
And that is in fact the rumor that they would put Xeons in these. They would put E3, server class processors.
But those were before the X1, so it'll be interesting to see which ones they choose.
ECC RAM. Also, the X1 might be better, right? Yeah.
There's also the question of how would they have to really re-engineer what's inside that to deal with the heat dissipation, because these processors, they're designed to be cooled by chilled olive oil bubblers.
They're
designed to have they're designed to live in rooms that are just screaming with fans all the time. So they might actually have to make an iMac that has a bezel that is maybe 3 millimeters thick.
No, that's not
cause vomiting.
And I think if you're buying a server, you don't want this monitor. You want a Mac Mini sized device, or let's face it, or cheese grater Mac. That's what you want.
Well, I don't think I think that the opportunity for Apple, and I think I talked about this earlier, but a 3U, really nice, very modular piece that you could what Apple could really innovate on, I think, is making it just work and also making it easy to slide and change things, like slide things in and out. So servers become this. We have a lot of servers, and
you think rack mount format like a 1U, or
I think you could build something that could stand up, but you could put ears on it and slide it in.
There you go.
And have it look really cool on the front, and have it, but in the back be able to, I want to pull this module out or put another module in, and have things very, very easy to use and easy to upgrade, easy to add cards. Maybe put sleeves in cards where you can just slide them in rather than this whole I'm going to jam them all in. I mean, it's. When you open up a server, it's like having surgery every time.
Sonnet makes
that could be improved a lot.
Sonnet makes 1U Mac Mini rack mounts. You can get 2 minis in it.
Can we just get Alex's consulting number to Apple as fast as possible, please? The Alex Lindsay consulting.
Minis not included.
Yeah, we have probably.
It looks like 2 slices
20 of these,
of
really?
Toaster
yeah.
Wow. So they're just the right size to 1U. That's interesting.
Yeah, we have a lot. Yeah, those are.
So if these were more powerful, problem is cooling in this too. I mean,
it's fine. Those work really well. We have lots of them. We use them all the time.
Interesting.
To rack our minis. I mean, that's how all of our minis sit. I mean, they're always racked up. So
that's a good way to do it.
Drop the mini, slide in another one, Leo. It's just like a Drobo.
Yeah, no kidding. It's hot swappable Mac Minis. Wow. And you can even they even have a slot in the front if you want to feed them a DVD.
Pull one out of the disposer.
Well, it's funny. It's a really funny thing because the power on the Mac Minis is on the back, but you want to power them from the front. And so what you do is there's actually a button, and it's a really cool little mechanical thing that goes around and pulls back, and then so when you push the button in the front, it pushes the button in the back to start it up. And is it a mechanical thing? Yeah, it's a mechanical thing.
A little arm?
That's a little arm.
Hysterical. Oh yeah, there it is. Power button levers. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's the word. Kludge is the thing that leaps to mind when you see that.
Hey, but it works.
But it works. But the fact that this exists is testimony to the fact that there is a demand for something like this. Maybe Apple's just said it's too small. It's not a big enough business. Yeah. But that makes me sad.
It's 100 million a unit Apple now.
Yeah, I know. They don't care. And
they don't care.
I understand. It's not. They care. I shouldn't say they don't care. Yeah. They do care. But you have to pick your. You can't.
You can't do everything. Or do everything well. But I think that one of the other things for large customers, and I don't know whether Apple's aimed at it, but for a lot of these larger customers, they don't actually have the computers right in front of the artist anyway. I mean, so that's why the rack mountable makes more sense in a lot of ways, because you're taking those, you're actually, the computers are in a server farm somewhere, and then it's much more efficient than just use fiber to bring it all back. And so you're actually typing, and all you have is a monitor, your input devices, and so on and so forth, and you're not really plugging straight into the computer. You don't have one at every desk. A lot of
commodity PC hardware, though, just makes more sense for this, frankly. Running a Unix-style OS.
If you don't want a Mac.
If you don't need whatever it is what is it that you use that you have to have a Mac for? Logic? What?
Well, we still use Final Cut. So that's a big one for us. But also, we use Final Cut. We use a program called Spectre, Scopebox. Those are all things that are driven to the Mac. I have lots of little Mac apps that we use that I would probably miss if we didn't have them available. And also, you feel, for better or worse, you still feel a little bit more, when you see the WannaCry go out, you kind of go, well, I'm on,
that's true. No, that's true.
Go, it's still more secure. It's not secure.
It's not perfect.
It's secure. It's not perfect, but you tend to be a smaller target for it. So
that's right.
Worry a little bit less.
Not a bad thing. Well, okay, but now that we've had our flight of fancy, none of that's going to happen. Although I was looking, Phil Schiller said, new iMacs later this year. He didn't say late this year. He said later this year. So Apple has not had an event. Somebody just pointed this out.
Yep.
In 8 months. So, the last one was end of October. So November, December, 8 months.
Same as 2013 and 2014? They didn't have spring events either. So we're on that track again.
So we would, this 10.5-inch iPad Pro, you think we'll see that?
Any of that stuff so the nice thing, when Apple does their own events, they're not beholden to anybody. And last year, for example, the MacBook Pro was supposed to debut at WWDC, and the chipsets just weren't ready, so they pushed it. The year before, the Apple TV was supposed to debut at WWDC, and it just the OS wasn't ready, so they pushed it. So there's probably a bunch of stuff that's lined up that's ready to go for this event, and if they're not ready, they'll just push it. So all the stuff that's rumored are likely candidates, and it just depends if they're in a state to be demoed and ship in short order. Then they'll make the call.
Oh, my Apple Watch just restarted.
It was listening, Leo. It was listening to its replacement coming.
It's rebooting. I don't understand. What happened?
It's getting ready for watchOS 4.
Oh, how exciting.
No, it's probably just it finished buffering all of your private conversation about Apple. Now it has to
send those out.
Compress it and send it out.
Don't send that right out. Don't worry. Nothing to see here.
Hey, look, new watch band. Don't
try to connect to your Google phone and just shut down to avoid pain.
One of the things I'll be really interested to see, and I think it's unlikely at this point, but I'll be really interested to see what happens with, AR, whether Apple will address that for developers or not. We've seen a huge push at F8 and at I/O with both Facebook and Google. Facebook, I think, was a bit of a surprise. I think Google we saw coming as far as announcing, some very robust tools when it comes to AR, and specifically some things that we've talked about, I think, years ago when we started seeing augmented reality on the iPhone of being able to use match moving or motion tracking to track elements in the scene and be able to tie objects to it, and providing a library for developers to do that. And so, I think we're going to see an acceleration of that type of thing for, Facebook and Google. I do think it's going to be important. I think it'll be Apple may start playing catch up if they don't have some kind of AR showing at this one. If they wait another year, I think it could be Google and Facebook may make some very strong inroads in that area.
Yeah, Google, as a matter of fact, during Google I/O showed up during the keynote. They showed off something that was kind of showed you how if you think that AR and VR are all this really Buck Rogers, I'm wearing this thing on my head sort of stuff. I think one of the most impressive demos was a classroom experience where there was an AR tornado in the middle of the classroom, and the kids were issued like basic Android phones on selfie sticks. So they could basically walk around the tornado and see it from all angles within their classroom by looking at the screen. And that's the sort of stuff that I think is always just a huge opportunity when Apple Maps introduces that kind of thing where you're just in the middle of Manhattan. You want to know, where the hell am I? I know that I need to go this. I know I'm about 80 blocks away, but I have to go this way or that way. For Apple Maps to be able to simply superimpose on a live view of the street like an arrow this way, and then highlighting in blue, here is the building you're trying to get to. That's when people's A, will really embrace augmented reality, and B, just absolutely fall in love with their phone again when it can do stuff like that. So huge opportunity for Apple, and I really hope they at least I know they're not in the business of showing off stuff they're only thinking of making, but everybody else is showing off things that they're actually making. And so this is another chance where Apple being silent is so totally against its best interest. It really has to say, no, we are not just about making an $1,100 version of the iPhone. We are really doing some cool stuff that will make you happy that your next phone is going to be an iPhone.
And yet, Apple's never been very rarely been reactive. You know,
I don't think they're reactive. I think AR is coming slowly for everybody.
But they don't like it at a keynote event.
Well, they've been talking about it, though. I mean, it's one of the few things Tim Cook has not been very hesitant to talk about. And I think that's because it has been made table stakes. Okay. And to Andy's point, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see the same way they've done Scene Kit and Sprite Kit. They have like AR Kit, and suddenly you have all these technologies. And they don't say why. They just John Hankey comes up and says, with this technology, we can put Pikachu on a live background better than ever before. And it's just totally under the radar because it's a good demo. But then all the developers go, holy crap, we have all these AR frameworks now.
Well, Pikachu is the greatest industry ambassador for augmented reality because it takes something that is a research sort of thing and makes it real for people. This is the technology we're using. So yeah, that's a great point, Rene.
Well, and I think the bread and butter of AR, is really going to be in locations, and if you look at matching it with Bluetooth LE and being able to identify where you are within, let's say, a foot or two, a mall, and just being able to tell you where the Gap is or where the Apple Store is, or where, and be very precise and show you directions and show you where you can find X, Y, and Z. I think a lot of people, could very naturally get used to just throwing something up, or going to, historical sites and being able to get glimpses into where, what that looked like when it was at its heyday. Those types of things I think are going to be really interesting.
Before we push aside the pure play VR stuff too, the Star Trek game just shipped. You can have the four of us could be in command of the USS Aegis right now. And that's all Georgia wants to do this entire week is just play Star Trek on a bridge. And there's no Mac that can run that. So I'm still sad.
Could I be in a science fiction universe that I'm more fond of, such as Star Wars or Doctor Who?
Well, it's not even Star Trek. It's the Kelvin. It's the J.J. Abrams Kelvin version of Star Trek.
All I'm saying is that I don't want to be in a VR game where every 20 minutes I have to go into a conference room and argue with a psychologist about whether we're doing the right thing. I just here's the torpedoes. Here's the sights. Exactly.
It's Kobayashi Maru all the way down, Andy.
Captain Anatko. The crew is feeling a lot of tension right now over your decision to defend the ship with physical force.
The line will be drawn here, this far, no further. I will make them pay. There we go.
Damn right they are. Partially, I give us a 50-50 chance of survival.
Another, of course, rumor that is strong, although rumors are meaningless, is that there will be a standalone Siri device, a Siri speaker. Will we see, you think, Monday? With a touch display, maybe?
If they need, it's a developer conference, which some people will say suggests there won't be a lot of interesting hardware. Although a couple of points, Apple has not gone out of their way to say no new hardware this year, which they usually do if there is no new hardware. And also, if there are things like a Siri speaker, they'll need to have developer support for it. The current version of SiriKit is very limited. I think it has 7 or 8 domains, and they'll need way more than that to have a full living room experience. So if it is something, they've not hesitated to show off things like the then new 2013 Mac Pro and say coming later this year. So it's quite possible they'll say we're shipping this in September, but we know we have all the developers here. We have the new version of SiriKit and HomeKit for you to work on, and we want to give you as much time as possible to make fantastic apps and experiences. So here it is, and either it's a standalone speaker or it's some form of fancy iPhone 8 dock that'll use the logic from the phone to create a living room, whatever form it takes. They'll show it off, hint at it, and then give the developers time to get their apps ready for it.
They don't even necessarily have to show it off. They could just simply, even in the conference, the actual conference itself, they could have in one of the boxes that is not revealed on the schedule yet. It's like new features of new API developer exposed features of Siri, and at that session you will learn that, oh, by the way, here's how you can create Siri actions for, let's say, if there were a standalone device, or let's say you don't know, or better yet, you
for
don't
Apple
know
TV.
what. You don't know what device this is running on, so it could be because people could be using Siri on a Mac, on a phone, on a watch, on a or even on a We're just saying that maybe you want to start thinking about how to do that. We obviously we're going to be really paying close attention to the keynote, but you've got to spend the next week watching all of these conference videos that come up, because oftentimes that's where some of the most exciting stuff is. This is where a company is going to talk about subtle stuff that's going to totally revolutionize and revitalize an operating system for the next 5 years. And it's easy to demonstrate. Here's a new version of here's a new feature in our Photos app. You see how this your daughter was at bat and playing baseball behind this chain link fence. Well, now the chain link fence is no longer in the way. That's an easy demo, but explaining here's how we are going to make iOS work better with keyboards and other pointing devices in case you wanted to use your $500 iPad as a laptop replacement, as something that maybe you don't want to buy one of these new $300 cheap Windows machines or a Chromebook. Here's a way to do that. That's where you figure out that, Apple is really, really serious about moving iOS forward as not just as a really great thing for comics and games. Here's a really great thing for just using it as a business device. So we shouldn't, even if Apple doesn't show off such a device, and I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't. I think that we're going to see some stuff that points to AR, that points to new applications of Shlomo, and maybe even some stuff that
Shlomo
they've been
plus
hitting after
AR.
2018.
You're saying
Shlomar.
Okay, there is a little problem. Siri sucks.
I wouldn't say Shlomo sucks.
For me, a Siri device would just be one more thing to swear at. I don't.
Well, it'll have beamforming, Michael. It'll be purpose-built to work in your living room.
Shlomo, she's fine. You're fine. You're fabulous.
Lisa and I have a little game we play. When I'm looking for something, I will ask Google Assistant, and she will ask Shlomo. And invariably, Shlomo either says, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, or I found some stuff on the web that has nothing to do with your request. Yeah. And I got, maybe, is it just me? I don't think I speak with an accent. I feel like one of the risks Apple faces by putting Shlomo up front is it really does lag behind Google's offering. And,
there would
and
conceivably
Amazon's
be a
offering.
Shlomo 3.0 that would go along.
Maybe they're working on that.
Yeah. Now, whether that's actually good enough or not is going to be hard to tell.
The only thing worse than Shlomo is Bixby.
Yeah,
it doesn't do anything at all.
Well, Bixby is a toddler, and now Alejandro is a rebellious teen. They're different levels of maturity, but also realize that you can have a much better experience with Alyosha and with the assistant, because again, I've got this device in front of me that has all kinds of microphones around it, designed specifically to make sure that it can differentiate my voice from someplace else. Siri is almost always, there is one microphone, and it may not it's not a microphone that was ever designed to react to me at distance. It was designed to be like in the middle of my face with absolutely no other noise around it. And also remember that Apple has been doing some nice acquires. They acquired I can't remember the name of the company, but the company whose technology is in taking information that has been basically written for the web and summarizing it and sifting it and being able to extract context out of it. That's exactly the sort of thing Apple needs to make sure that Siri can say that, well, Abe Vigoda was in 3 different movies with Hal Linden before Fish and before Barney Miller. These are the 3 they were, instead of, I found these 4 articles on Wikipedia about Hal Linden and Abe Vigoda. So it's the great. All I'll say is that the great thing about this platform, these intelligent speakers, these intelligent assistants, is that really, as soon as you've given somebody $130 for this, the hardware part is boring and it's over. But it can always be adding new features and get smarter and smarter as you go along.
When you said this, I should point out for those listening in audio,
I'm sorry,
held up a Google Home, that Google thing you talk to.
Yeah, a Google Home that's been set to mute because I've been
smart man.
And the thing that might be controversial that'll add to this is I've been going back and forth. I've been testing a lot of Apple Maps versus Google Maps, Apple Assistant versus Google Assistant, and they're fighting for second place. All of these things. I'm going to quote Gartenberg when he says that if they were real, we'd fire all of them. But I still can't get to A and B using any mapping solution reliably. Yeah. I would say 9 out of 10 times I can't get any assistant to answer reliably. Even the same question question 9 out of 10 times. So yeah, like Siri is way behind, and Apple Maps in many areas struggles, but I can't get any of these stuff to just reliably provide me what I would consider table stakes services. So I'm just hoping again that the competition increases, and I understand it's super hard to figure all this stuff out, but I just need to be able to rely on them. The flooding went away 2 weeks ago, and Google Maps will still not take me down any road that was considered flooded 2 weeks ago, and I don't know how to fix that.
Hey, at least it knows about the flooded roads.
It does, but it's 2 weeks later, and it doesn't know about the construction that's been going on for a month. So there are roads that is closed. It's a mess.
For me, the simple ones in this, and even Amazon and Google have trouble with this in their home products is that I think we talked about this, but just picking the right song. Like, I'm asking you to play a song, I expect the single. like I don't expect a cover. I don't expect the karaoke version. I don't expect the deep album version or the live version. I expect the single, and then if you can't find the single, I expect the album version.
Well, that's asking an awful lot. I just want to ask.
Well, but I don't think.
I just want to ask Siri when the Giants game is on tonight.
A relevancy index is not that hard, though. I mean, those are all solved search problems.
But when those things, those are really easy. I mean, if it knows that it's Elton John's Rocket Man, it should know that it's going to grab the one that.
Look, Apple can't even give you a search in its app store that finds an app. I mean, come on. Let's not.
They have added sloppy search now, so you can misspell things. Finally, after a decade, I can misspell TweetBot and still get an answer.
Well, okay. I don't.
So
maybe I'm only searching for new apps, and that's why I've run into problems. But I can't find.
Well, yeah. So search for new apps is still bewildering because it doesn't propagate.
Whenever I want an app, I Google it.
Yes.
And then I find it because I can't find it from Apple. And that's just, I can go on and on and on.
Well, search is just tricky in general. But the current name of my search pane is, I'm still using Autodesk Fusion 360 to design stuff. And I recommended a few weeks ago. Absolutely still love it. I can't recommend it highly enough. But for some reason, even on the search on the desktop, when I launch apps by hitting Command Spacebar for Spotlight, and so I type FUSI, and it always will give me the app that was installed for how to deinstalling Fusion 360. It never surfaces the app itself, and I don't know who. I've got the phrase, "Oh, you stupid idiot piece of software," loaded and chambered, and the camera's pulled back. I just don't know whether to fire it at the Mac or to fire it at Fusion 360 because that seems like an obvious problem.
Your mic, just by the way, is rattling or something. Are you on an unstable surface? Are you aboard a ship?
No, I'm sorry. I've got.
Are you in a truck?
My office, the office chair I've had since like 1995, wants to cripple me, and I finally had to say I will. The only way to stop sitting in this is for me to throw it away and replace it with the old school chair that. And so unfortunately, this is the first podcast in which my height is a little bit off. My butt.
It's like there's a rumbling, like the thing is rattling on the table or something.
So I think it's because I'm just sort of.
It's the big one.
It's the big one.
He's playing the Star Trek game without us, Leo.
Anything.
It's also the official start of Upskirt fan season. So I had to move that out of the way. Maybe I.
It's your Monroe moment.
I don't know. It's just me. It could just be me. Anything else you want to say about WWDC? It's coming Monday. Our coverage will begin just shortly before 10 a.m. Pacific. Oh yeah, we're going to see iOS 11 and
tvOS 11, macOS something, and watchOS 4.
Wow. watchOS 4. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a break, and then we'll talk about those. I did get an update to my iPhone yesterday, surprise update. No, this morning. Surprise update, so we can talk about what's in there. And lots more. Alex Lindsay is here from the Pixel Corps. Nice to see you, Alex.
It's good to be here.
I literally dreamt that you would show up today.
and here I am.
And here you are.
Did you say his name 3 times?
I must have done something in my sleep, exactly. Also, besides Alex, Andy Anako from the Chicago Sun-Times. Always wonderful to have Andy on. And his
being mistaken for Alex is nothing but a compliment. I will take that.
Well, you're both on my left, on my right. iMore.com's amazing Rene Ritchie. Our show today brought to you by Upside.com. Speaking of amazing, Jay Walker is a legend in the travel business. He's the guy who created Priceline and really transformed travel. Then I think after he sold the company, he took some time off. But you know how entrepreneurs are. He was thinking. What is a problem that needs to be solved in travel? And he came up with a really good one. And I speak as a small business owner. When I worked for a big company for Ziff Davis, we had a travel department. And as an employee, if you're going to book travel, you don't go book it yourself. You call the travel department. And you say, I got a business trip coming up, and they book it for you because they don't want you to do it yourself. They've got pre-negotiated deals. They're going to save a lot of money. The problem is if you're a business like mine or a small business or even a medium-sized business and you don't have a travel department, you haven't negotiated deals with airlines and hotels, what do? You go to Jay's new business, Upside.com, the better way to buy business travel. Let's go. Where should we go? JFK. Let's go to New York City. All right? Just go there right now. Actually, I want you to use the offer code. There's a button up in the right corner that says radio listeners, but that counts for podcasters too. But I'm going, so do that. But we'll just do it here. From SFO to New York. Let's say I'm leaving, my bags are packed. Yeah, this is good. I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm leaving today. No, I should leave tomorrow. I shouldn't go. I'm in the middle of a show. Trip purpose, cabin class. Do you want to go economy, first business? Trip purpose, let's see. You could do leisure travel, but it's really designed for business travel. Ticket needs to be refundable or not, then you do search. Oops, cabin class. He says, I haven't selected it. There we go. Now, the thing is, first of all, they're going to go through a bunch of flights and look at all their deals, flights and hotels. They are not going to load you up with 1,000 choices because they've got the best deal. Now, they curate them. You can, if you go down below the first 6, say, show 30 more curated options. So there are plenty of options here. But they know where the best options exist. And by the way, this is the published price. You're going to pay less than the published price if you select this. Then it's going to offer you a hotel because they do these as bundles together. But, of course, if you're doing business travel, you need both. And they've got pre-negotiated prices. I'm going to stay at the Omni Berkshire Place. That sounds very nice. Very nice. Okay, select this hotel. And it's built your package. Now, here's the thing that's really cool. Your business saves because they've got pre-negotiated deals. It's a 4-day trip to New York City. Set at $1,678 on Virgin America with 2 nights hotel. It's $1,293. I'm saving $196. Pretty nice. And then look what else I get. Your business saves, and then I get a gift card worth $420. Yeah. Now, here's a nice thing. If, in my case, I'm booking for myself, my own business, I can apply the gift card to the price and get it down to $873.89, which is an amazing price for 3 days in New York City. I mean, that's amazing, including hotel and airfare. But if you're booking for you're an employee and you're booking for the company, keep the gift card. And the gift cards, by the way, they have 50 different vendors, including Amazon and Target, Nordstrom. And I mean, great stuff. You're going to get it in an email within 72 hours. You win. Your company wins. Everybody's happy. It's the way to book business travel going forward. I want you to check it out, Upside.com. You get $100, $200, even $300. I got a $420 gift card. That's even better. I'm really happy. You get even more with overseas trips. There's no limit on trips or gift cards. So book ahead, book away. If you travel for business or you know someone does, just tell them about Upside.com. Jay Walker's back, baby. And if you use the offer code MacBreak, what you're going to do is you're going to, on the front page of Upside.com, see where it says radio listeners? I want you to click that and then use the promo code MacBreak. And that guarantees you at least a $100 gift card. That makes the minimum $100. Minimum purchase is required. See site for complete details. What a great deal. What a great deal. Upside.com. Everybody wins. It's a win-win. If your company's not big enough to have pre-negotiated travel deals, don't worry. Upside's done it for you. Upside.com. We thank you for their support of MacBreak Weekly. Andy Anako, Rene Ritchie, Mr. Alex Lindsay. Do we know anything, Rene? Rene's the expert. I always go to Rene on the new operating systems because you do all the betas there. Are they betaing iOS 11 already?
No, it'll be the day of the keynote. They'll put if they follow their usual pattern. The day of the keynote, we'll get the developer betas for watchOS, tvOS, iOS, and macOS.
So we don't know really much at all at this point.
No, I mean, there are a lot of rumors, again, rumors of a new design, rumors of maybe a dark theme to tie in with OLED panels that are coming late in the year.
OLEDs, one of the neat things about OLEDs is they don't use any power to do black.
Yeah.
Just for lighting things up, unlike an LCD, which has to light up the whole panel
Backlighting,
which is why
such
the
a
watch
hog,
is black UI.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's also why the default font doesn't even have serifs. It's like that's more pixels you have to turn on to have a serif font.
Save battery. Go black. So that would be one thing. We are at peak. I mean, I gotta say we're at peak iOS. I'd be hard pressed to think of something it doesn't have.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Andy.
Andy's turn.
Just a quick comment that it's by no means does it look frumpy. macOS looks downright frumpy and needs a redesign. But that by no means does iOS look long in the tooth. But I think I've always been wondering since the rewrite of iTunes if we're getting a sneak peek at some of the design thinking they're putting into the next major visual redo of iOS, where they introduce new heavier fonts. There's I love the new. I really like the new app, the new music app, because there's whereas the existing iOS I think is a little too whispery. It's a little too understated. It doesn't call it when it needs to get your attention someplace. It has no part of its design language to say, here's where I want you to look. Here's the important thing you need to tap, or the most important piece of information here. Whereas the music app has a lot of that built in. So I'm most looking forward to seeing if they are going to make their first real rethink of, or excuse me, real tune-up of the interface since iOS, was it 6 or 7? I think it was iOS 7.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that's super interesting about it, but it's sort of like a maturity of the phone. We were building up the phone as a platform for a long time, but the phones, both Android and iOS, are super mature now. Yeah. And it's more of a rounding out of features and using the phones as the platform to build everything else off of. And there are things like OLED that we can talk about. There are things like the new music design language. That's all Eddie Q's division. There was a guy in Eddie Q's org who had this great idea for this big, bold, beautiful redesign, and that's why Maps got it, and Apple Music got it, and the Home app, the things that are in Eddie Q's division got it. And that might permeate, but they might use the dark theme as a way of sort of refreshing everything. And the rest is just building out more Siri, more intelligence, surfacing more sort of the artificial intelligence engine throughout the phone, and really rounding out the experience. And things like Siri Kit and Phone Kit let third-party apps really work like first-class citizens. The knock was always that Android was built multitasking first, security later, iOS security first, multitasking later. But both of those platforms are now figuring out they need to address both of those components. And I think this year we're seeing big steps forward on all fronts.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of stuff. Google I/O. I'm just here as an ambassador for I had to spend an entire week doing nothing but focusing on Google I/O. I'm going to use that information somewhere. Damn it. The Google I/O was the same sort of thing where a lot of the great stuff was, here's stuff that we screwed up 3 years ago that we're finally getting around to fixing. Here's something that is a big pain in the butt for developers, and a big pain in the butt for security, and a big pain in the butt for memory leaks and battery use that we're finally fixing up. So I think that the key features in the middle have all been solved for both platforms, and now the best way to improvement is at either end of the spectrum, where the boring stuff that the consumer never ever sees, they just think, oh wow, the new iPhone 8 is amazing, I'm getting 23% battery life because this wonderful new phone. No, it wasn't. It's because they rewrote something that was not working very well. Or at the other end of the spectrum, meaning that they can fix a phone by making it a lot more attractive, a lot better style, something that's a lot more pleasant to hold and look at and take out of your pocket 80 times a day.
I neglected to mention this, by the way. I'm sorry I did. If you download the WWDC app,
stickers.
There are some fun things built into it. For instance, as always, there's some sessions that they don't want to say the name of because that would give it all away. This session name hasn't been engaged yet with a diamond ring. To be determined with a little bumblebee. We're about to reveal the real name with a little robot, and
Ed loves that one.
You just aren't qualified, as in koala bear, to know yet. I love those. Like some of them may be clues.
We don't want the customers to see how much they'll be screwed by this new change we're making to macOS.
But Leo, you're hiding the lead because there's a new sticker pack, including WWDC fist, like a big fist with WWDC on the knuckles that you can send to people.
Get your WWDC tattoo right here, baby.
Yep.
And then some classic, there's a Susan Kerr Mac, and a Command Z or Z for you Canadians.
There's a 6-color logo for Jason Snell.
6-color.
Yep.
Can I get those so I can put that on my messages right now? I don't have to wait. I don't have to get the iOS app or WWDC
We have to download the app because the sticker is an extension of the app.
Oh, it's part of the app. Okay.
Yeah.
So just search the App Store for WWDC.
Yep, download that and then figure out how to enable a sticker on iOS, Leo. Come on, we got
okay,
an hour
I can
left
do
on the
it. I
show.
know I can do it.
I'm not left on the show.
I'm not so stupid as I look. Oh, the App Store is unavailable, as usual. Okay, moving on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to distract. So, iOS 11.
Yep.
Mac OS Natural Wonder name.
Yeah.
And what will Watch 4 be that's a big number. That's a big jump.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did WatchOS 3 last year, and the big thing was they spent excess RAM and battery overhead to make apps more responsive. And I'd argue that apps are still the wrong model, and that hopefully they're coming to terms with that and letting extensions be extensions. And maybe they'll use some of that budget for things like ambient time and super performing notifications and extensions that have better handoff capabilities. So I fingers crossed we'll see a lot of movement there too.
Yeah,
I got to say that I'm most excited about what they could announce in WatchOS because the watch is still evolving. They're still figuring out what they want to do to it. And last year they really learned. They showed they really learned a lot, and now they have a focus. They've got a target that they didn't have before the release of the first watch. So I'm really excited to see what they do as they continue to apply not only what they're learning from their users about what makes a great watch experience, but also as they themselves start to we're not just out for a family car ride to burn gas. We know it. We have a destination. we have a specific destination we're trying to get to, and now we really want to move this watch closer to that destination. So am I excited about what they could be doing.
Activity leaderboards, Leo, so we can feel really bad about being third place to Megan every day.
She's a workout demon.
Can I have like an auto reply thing so that like if Rene sends me like something like that, I'll have like some stock pictures of here I am actually eating an entire Boston cream pie and a Dr. Pepper.
I sent Leo a pizza the other
is
day.
this
Leo
delicious.
finished the workout. I sent him back a beautiful pizza emoji.
I get so mad when you send me donuts and pizza. I get so angry.
Hey Rene, here are the 7 movies that I watched Saturday sitting on my couch instead of having to bust my butt on a trail. Fight. You want to fight? We can fight with media, man.
I sent the messages guy a donut after that, and I just got the flat face emoji back, and I sent another one. I got another flat face emoji.
Oh, that's
back,
good.
So
flat face emoji. That's what you're getting from me from now on.
I think I wore out my welcome with messages.
Let's see. Yeah. I think maybe Apple is probably going to double down on its commitment to health and fitness on the Apple Watch. They seem to have found a niche for it. We talked last week about the glucose monitor, which, by the way, according to The Verge, is very hard to do. No one's really successfully done it. I didn't realize this, a non-invasive.
Until they do, Leo. It's hard until they do.
The working technology, as one of the developers described to me as a cat's tongue technology, where it is actually this micro sandpaper that you don't know that it's drawing fluid because drawing is so little, but it is actually drawing actual fluid from your wrist.
Right. Well, maybe that's what it does. Just be really abrasive band.
Actually embedded. What they do is they drill it right in when you get the watch.
They did. Well, the closest thing
is needed anymore.
The closest thing to a non-invasive was created, but it was taken off the market because it really irritated people. I don't know if that was the cat or not, but that's the closest thing. And in fact, the end of the story is it might be worth it for Apple to consider the lesson of the Gluco watch. It's not enough to get
tin in it, then they measure the allergic reaction. And then
it's not enough to get past all the regulatory hurdles to still be able to make money and then have a successful device. You got to get to market and still not stick. And
sure, we all see tough. Wonder Woman will just want bracers anyway, and then they can do whatever they want.
But I mean, it is the holy grail, and it's not everybody wants to do this. Yeah, everybody wants to do this. It's 30.
No. I mean, Rene, that is legitimately a great idea. The idea, if you were to create like a Wonder Woman bracer, and for people who are not as hip as you and I, who don't realize that Wonder Woman is a great character, imagine what you can do with that amount of surface. Imagine if you could make it so that your watch, there's no hump or bump in here. It really is flat, so you could pull your sleeve completely down over it. pull your sleeve up just enough to see the time, or pull it. That's a great idea, and that's the sort of innovation that
Andy and I have a startup.
Exactly. We're looking for Series A financing. Before we figure we'll if as long as you don't want more than, let's say, $780 million, we blow through before we stop buying ping pong tables for every employee and start actually producing stuff.
Incidentally, I think this is probably an indicator, but if you order or try to order a MacBook at the store, not the 13, but the 15-inch at the store, the delay has been pushed just past June 6th.
So will people be madder if there's no Kaby Lake MacBook Pros or if there are Kaby Lake MacBook Pros at this point? It's hard to tell with the internet these days.
Well, I did just buy a 15-inch Touch Bar MacBook Pro, a couple of months ago.
The answer is yes. They'll be madder both ways.
Yeah, they're going to be mad no matter what. Order today, delivers June 5th through 7th.
That's after the WW keynote.
After the keynote. So you just maybe. Now, what would they do if you ordered this? They would give you the opportunity. They would just say, hey.
Yeah, you get an email saying you're getting the new version.
Oh, neat. Okay. That would be a good way to do it. Doesn't change, though, for the 13th. And by the way, it's kind of a sad farewell. I didn't realize this, but Apple's 17-inch MacBook Pro will be added to the obsolete list.
They sank my battleship
at the end of June.
I still miss my 17-inch.
A lot of people
I had one
do
for years.
But again, too small a market for Apple to spend any time on, right?
It was like carrying Captain America's shield on your back. It was amazing.
Yeah.
The people who loved it.
I have a friend who uses a 17-inch just every day because he loves it. And we went for breakfast when I was reviewing like the first MacBook Nothing. I said, "Are you gonna be like working at the diner in your 17-inch MacBook?" Yeah. Can I bring some loaner hardware and just take some pictures? And it's hysterically funny, the MacBook Nothing on top of this thing where you're like, that's the smallest MacBook Apple has ever made, because clearly that's not a 17-inch notebook, because that would be ridiculous.
So Apple
One of my favorite pictures from CSS in the old days was when Lisa Brewster still worked at Palm, and she stacked 4 Palm Veers on top of the brand new Galaxy Note.
Yeah,
and they both came out the same year.
That's a good one. Apple has two classifications for discontinued devices: vintage and obsolete.
Which one has a hole at the knee?
So after
it
product,
feels like vintage is like it's better with time. It's like
it's got that great fake wood paneling.
Vintage products, according to Apple, are those that have not been manufactured for more than 5 but less than 7 years. You're in that 2-year vintage window.
The country of Turkey.
Except if you're in Turkey, Mac products purchased in the country of Turkey that are vintage may obtain service from Apple service providers within the country of Turkey. If you bought it in California, as required by statute, in other words, there's rules, and they have to comply with local rules. Obsolete products are those that were discontinued, like the 17-inch, more than 7 years ago.
Obsolete in the rest of the world.
Here's my favorite line in the whole thing. This thing is so good. Monster-branded Beat products are considered obsolete regardless. Doesn't matter. No, they're regardless.
Jimmy will come to your house and swipe them so fast.
No more Monster-branded Beat objects. They're gone. They're history.
They're bitter.
We're so sorry we made that deal.
Yo, Jimmy, what, Dre? I got something to say.
And then this is the list of Mac products vintage in the United States and Turkey, but obsolete in the rest of the world.
How did Turkey get on that list? Did they lobby for that?
They must have, it's probably a law, right? Or something. I don't know.
But Turkey has that, but not Uzbekistan. It's just very
weird, right? Weird.
I think there's just going to be a culture just like the Cuban car culture, where it's like where you'll in 2041 you're going to see people with 17-inch MacBooks that now have like bubble memory, that now have like tetrahonic isolinear optical chips for CPUs, all bolted in, because they are their own community. They're the only source of making these things work, and damn if they don't make it work.
Ask, when Alex sees that list, does he go through his head and go, I had 3 of those, 4 of those, 5 of those, 3 of those, 2 of those, 3 of those?
Look at the X serves that are now obsolete. All those X serves. Yep.
I think we have a couple of them sitting around in a box somewhere.
And then here's iPod products that are vintage in the United States but obsolete in the rest of the world. This just cracks me up. It's hard to believe this is serious, but it is. It's this
is a gold mine.
Yeah, Beats products. Here. I'm just going to tweet this. Beats products obsolete worldwide. Thank you very much.
Bow, 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 bow. Bring that Beats back.
Anyway, we'll put a link in this to the show notes so you can.
That's the new marketing hook especially for like music hipsters. Like, these headphones, they're vintage, they're obsolete. Not a whole lot of people would really get why they're really good. So maybe you should just go get some AirPods. The AirPods are great for you.
There's a huge Zune renaissance going on. Just wait for it.
Hey, I got a tube-based iPod. It's a hell of an upgrade, but oh boy, the warm sound.
300 songs.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's like again, it's my bubble. I've upgraded my first series iPod to bubble memory. I can only play the first 0.8 of a second of Hey Jude, but it's that Department of the Navy 1957 sound I'm trying to get at.
He's got 300 songs in his parachute pants pocket. Let's see what else. Apple said to aim for trial production of micro-LED displays by early 2017. Who said that and why? And what does it mean? This is from
It's just interesting to me is that we thought that OLED was the next big thing, but we're getting OLED and they're already on it. No, it's quantum dot. No, it's micro LCD. That OLED stuff, that was just a stopgap. This fixes all those problems. You can't have it yet, but it fixes all those problems.
So this is a new technology better than OLED? Micro LED?
Yeah, they're a lot faster. They consume less energy. I don't know if they're actually higher definition, but I bet that whoever's selling them is going to say that. But mostly, as far as I know, it really is. It's basically let's not overdrive these pixels the way we have to because we're using standard LED technology. So anything if you can create 35 extra minutes of battery life by changing its display technology, especially if you now have the ability to own the factory that's making this brand new display technology. So that you and only you can get access to all the displays you need, and everybody else has to go beat carpets. That's a good thing.
There's a new sheriff in town. I thought Apple News was probably moribund, but apparently not. Apple has hired New York, highly regarded New York Magazine editor Lauren Kern is now editor-in-chief, the first ever for Apple News. She was executive editor at New York Magazine. She also worked as editorial director from 2004 to 2010 and deputy editor between 2010 and 2014 of the New York Times Magazine, like a real journalist.
I mean, they need it now. Like a while ago, you would have thought Apple News was just a center for technology. Like, you go look at The Verge there, you go look at iMore there, go look at Wired there. But given the current popularity of political news, Apple News has flourished. I mean, I know people who just immediately they wake up, they grab their iPhone, they swipe left for the news things. They hit the top political story and they buckle down to see what's going to happen to them today.
Yeah, right.
And that's become hugely popular. I mean, other websites, tech websites, everybody's saying they're losing traffic to political stories now, and they need someone who's multifaceted and can handle like a really well-rounded sort of a news feed for them.
Yeah, that's actually, I think that's true. We've even seen a small drop in listenership, and I think that's probably true across the board, that people, everybody has a limited amount of attention time, and a number of people are spending a lot more time looking at news than
political news is consuming a lot the last year or so.
Isn't that interesting?
But also it's a chance to drive audiences to a service that they probably have not been using up to this point. If they're used to getting notifications and now they see that there are notifications that are human selected and very, very relevant and interesting, that will get people using Apple News even though they're not aware that they're using Apple News. And then after long enough time, they will start to become aware that they're using it and then eager to use it. So yeah, that's an easy hire to make.
Mm-hmm. And you're right. I'm looking at my top stories on my Apple News, but everybody's going to be different, right?
Yeah, if you set it up, everything will be different.
Yeah, but I have actually two political stories, a couple about Manchester, and then Tiger Woods looking very sleepy. So yeah, but there's definitely and I guess if you really were interested in political news, you would configure it to be.
I mean, Canada's is different. When I switch back to Canada, it's like man arrested for dumping maple syrup and drunk guy tries to ride moose. And I'm not joking. Those were both in Apple News at the same time in Canada. So it's very different. But I mean, if you look at like the UK has got a huge amount of attention on Brexit. In France, they had election attention. Here, we've got governmental attention. It's just globally, there's a huge surge in the popularity of political news.
I love it. The headline here is Trump says Germany is very bad for the U.S. So don't get your hopes up on that.
That's why you put the words Trump said at the end, at the beginning, so you know whether to continue reading or not. Even though Apple News is not writing or generating news, really that's the whole point of having an editor in chief is to have a direction for the coverage that you want to highlight.
Yeah, what does she do? What does she do?
If she's, I don't know what they haven't said, but if she's a traditional editor-in-chief, the fact that the ability to choose, here are the stories that are important, here are the stories that people should be looking at right now, that's the decision of an editor-in-chief. Or rather, the editor-in-chief informs her sub-editors that you're not, basically, here's what our mandate is, here's what our direction is. When you have sort of a jerk as editor-in-chief, you wind up with a political site that will reject anything that is not in line with its party dogma. If you have a good editor-in-chief, you have someone who says that, yes, this is getting a lot of play, yes, everybody's talking about this, but I'm not going to steer people towards this story. I'm going to steer people towards the story about how this story is really not true, and here's why it's getting so much traction. That's the choice that an editor-in-chief makes, even if they're not actually creating news stories.
See, that's weird because, I mean, so you're really saying curator-in-chief, but I feel like Apple News is really you curate the news, right? There's people.
It's both. It has your stuff and it has a lot of suggested curated stuff.
Okay.
Right. Because they've tried this, and they've tried having Google. They've tried having all the kinds of companies have tried doing well, but where there is no human curated content. This is all based on what we think you like and what you want. But that turns out that's not exactly what people want when it comes to news. They do want a certain amount of randomness. They do want to get some stories out of the blue. I do like it when a news service figures out that I'm really interested in stories about David Letterman and it finds a story about David Letterman for me to see. But the really important thing is for them to say, here is a subject that is really important. Here is something that if there's 800 things they could be looking at and they have only time for 10, this should be one of the 3 that no question about it, this person is going to be looking at. So that's why you need an element of human curation.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to start an opera song. I just wanted to show you Liam is back, the robot with some very special set of skills. Let's play the video. It says, does my iPhone believe in reincarnation? Liberate. Liam stands for, wait a minute, we never saw this before. Liam stands for Liberate iPhone Auto Disassembly Machine. Does it really? Or is that a retronym?
We say he for Liam.
Liam takes an entire iPhone and takes it apart.
In the process, you end up with these perfectly separated bins of parts. And figuring out what to do with those is kind of where the magic is.
Let's try to put them back into our own supply chain and literally reuse our own material that we generated.
Treating that material as the amazing gift that it is and sending it back around that
He is totally entitled now to come to work in a top hat and a cape. I would insist on it if that were my job.
Is what's his name? Tyler. He's in charge of production. Let's go back and find it because they give him a little TJ Tyler, Operations and Environmental Initiatives.
Look, it's Tim holding a bunny in the background.
Oh, hey, Tim. He's the magician's assistant in this case. So, we were wondering when we saw those videos of Liam taking a phone apart, what do you do with all those screws? Apparently, you put them back in.
Again and again, so that we don't have to extract new material from the earth. That's the goal, and that's really exciting.
Do you really think they do that?
In his hands.
Do they really reuse those parts? Aren't they going to be kind of funky after, being in a phone?
There's a difference between reclaim and reuse, and also just the ability to separate them into different metals is a big deal.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah, if you could just get, the whatever it is that, the weird rare earth metals that they need. If you could just extract those out, I could see that.
Yeah. Remember that there's a lot of bad attention, justly so, to a lot of like electronics recycling, where by electronics recycling, they mean that they bundle this. They bundle it up into a pallet. They send it off to another country where people just smash at it with hammers at great risk to their own lives to get all these bad metals together and to reclaim them. So it's a really good point. If they want to make that, we don't do stuff like that. We actually have technology to disassemble stuff ourselves. Assuming that, I would love to see another video that says that. And why would we want to disassemble a perfectly good phone? We're figuring out how to recondition and totally wipe these and make them available for sale for markets where they don't, so that the $700 phone of 2 years ago can be the $80 phone of today to markets that certainly can't afford a modern iPhone.
Look at this. The number one iPhone, according to a survey of 36,000 customers, part of the American Customer Satisfaction Index, the number one phone in America, iPhone SE, with an 87% acceptance.
That's self-selecting, though, because you have to really want an iPhone SE to put up with the thing. No, seriously, like you have to really want the smaller form factor. You have to really love it in order to put up with not having the same camera and not having the same processor.
You really love not paying as much. I mean, I think a lot of that's price-driven, don't you think?
I think they were surprised by the amount of people who actually wanted a smaller phone.
I have an SE as one of my phones, and I like it a lot.
My daughter bought, when the daughter lost her phone, she bought or dropped it or something. She bought a new SE, and she does like it.
I just like that it's smaller. If it's in all my pockets, it's just barely there. It's, and so I don't, it's not the only phone I use, but that's the one I probably talk on the most, just because I can throw it in my pocket and do my thing.
I do think that part of it is trying to refine what people actually value in a phone, because now in the past 2 or 3 years, there's such a small gap of real life performance, I think, between pretty much all top tier phones. Talk about camera, talk about speed, talk about fluidity, talk about storage, that now I think that people might be kind of looking for some more basic stuff. I just backed on I broke my own Kickstarter rule that never ever back a hardware project. But I had to buy this new phone they're calling the Jelly, which is just tiny. It's roughly, it's almost about this. It's about the size of this remote, and it runs the latest for now version of Android. It has just enough features to make it super useful. I'm just really keen to see what it would be like to have a phone that is a real 4G phone that has storage that can be used as a hotspot, that can run real apps and not be even as hard to manipulate as just this. Yeah,
it's so teeny weeny.
I know, it's even much smaller than the original iPhone. So it's not like I'm holding them up here. This is my Nexus 5X and the original iPhone. It's even smaller than this. This Jelly phone can be put into the watch pocket of your jeans. It's so small.
They were looking for $30,000. They've raised, and they're not even done yet, $1.1 million on Kickstarter.
It also doesn't help that you can get this for $80.
Dual camera, dual SIM.
Yeah.
Wow. Is it Android with Google services, or is it just AOSP?
Nope. It's the Android, the latest version of Android, so it has full access to the Play Store. You should be able to download any app from the Play Store. Don't know how well some of them will work on that much smaller screen. It's not a scaled down screen. It's actually something like 300 by 240 or something like that. It's a much smaller pixel count screen. But just like Apple, Android developers have been browbeaten into saying, do not assume the size of any screen. You're going to design your UI so that it is adaptive. That's why we spent so much time giving you all these tools, so that if you simply describe where vaguely this button will go, we will place it for you correctly. So there's a lot of questions to be left, but I'm definitely going to be spending $800 on a new smartphone at the end of the year, and I'm already starting to go through that series of thoughts of, do I really want something as big like as an iPhone 7 Plus? Do I want something that is like what is now the normal size of a smaller-ish phone, or is it time for me to say, actually, I usually have like a Kindle or an iPad with me for when I want big screens. Maybe I really do want something that is so tiny that I won't get caught using it in church during a cousin's wedding, when I probably should not be on my phone during this blessed time of my relative's life.
It'd be interesting to see. So I'm tempted to order it because I order everything, but I'm going to let you enjoy this. And
your change pocket needs a phone.
Well, I think it'd be actually good for the glove compartment. kind of a thing.
You know,
right?
but you know what? One of my last things I maybe do the buy was I'm also sort of in the habit now of trying to find like a good standalone MP3 player, and there's just none.
Is that the Sansa? What is that?
That's the SanDisk. It's the SanDisk Clip. I want an MP3 player that has lots of storage and Bluetooth, and they're just nobody's interested in this category. And I finally, and after again my finger hovering over this button saying I don't want to be one of those idiots who 3 years later is on Twitter complaining about how this was supposed to ship 3 years ago and now they have the kick it, they're not responding to anything. But then I thought, if all I get out of it is, because it has a very small amount of internal storage, but it has a micro SD slot that will take up to 256 gigs, which is enough for my entire music library times 3. So if all I'm doing is buying an $80 or $90 MP3 player that will run access Apple Music, access Spotify, and also access all of my local music, if all it does is that, I think that it will be a useful buy.
But do you think it has a headphone jack?
somehow they found room for a headphone jack. Maybe their engineers are just better than Apple's. I don't know. I don't want to say.
This is interesting. You can get this SanDisk for $40, or if you want Bluetooth and 16 gigs, you can get it for $60. It's not very expensive.
Yeah.
What's the battery life on the Clip like?
Battery is, great. It will last, taking out every day on my constitutionals and stuff, it lasts the better part of a week before I even notice a low battery, partly because the screen is kind of terrible. It really is like Atari 2600.
It should be terrible
resolution. Yeah, but which is okay because I'm not using it to really drink in the sumptuous album art of Sgt. Pepper. I'm just wanted to play music and make it easy to put music on and off of it.
This is for athletes, right? I mean, that's really who this is for. It's for
and
Andy, athletes and Andy.
Well, I think that there's after this, and this is what I often talk about, that after X number of months or years in which you think that this is exactly the way that you should do things, where I'm going to carry all my music on my phone and that's going to be how my music player. Sometimes you need to take a step back and say, well, what if that's no longer the right choice for me right now? This is a pain in the this phone. I love it, but it only has 32 gigs of storage. It is a pain in the butt to get content on and off of it. I really want my thinking is, what if I were to simply say, I'm not going to dedicate 4 to 8 gigabytes of storage for media. I'm just going to have fresh podcasts on this, but I'm going to carry around my music library on that. Would that be handy? And it's working out pretty good, but I'm looking for a better solution.
I'm thinking for the trip, it'd be good to have that instead of draining my phone on the plane.
Yeah, right? That too. And also it was also the thought of, as we cross borders and security is getting more itchy about what you can do with things.
Right.
I like the idea that I don't have to erase this before I get across a border.
That cheesy little phone. Have that cheesy little phone be your travel phone, right?
That was another thing.
Jelly travel.
The other. It's also an idea that I wonder if. So many times I wish I would love to see what Apple has argued internally about this. It has 2 SIM slots in it, which is super useful for parts of the world in which data plans are really expensive. So you might have one SIM card that is just for text messages and phone calls, but you have a second SIM card for data because you can buy it more cheaply.
Well, it's also
great for international
in countries like India, where you might go 5 miles and be on a different carrier.
Right.
There are many carriers.
Or you might be traveling, and when I travel internationally, it's like, I would love to have a card. I would love to have a phone with 2 SIMs so that I could still get text messages for people who are meeting with me. But again, when I get into the airport, go into a vending machine, buy 20 gigabytes of online data, and stick that in, and now that's my data card.
Alex, what do you do when you go to Rwanda and Africa? Do you use a dual SIM phone? Or?
I don't. I typically just pop a SIM. Just change the SIM on one of my phones. Yeah. So I have a local SIM.
Then you have a local number. Which
makes it easier for the folks that you're working with there. So if you're working with a bunch of folks that are local, whether it's Nigeria or Cambodia or whatever, you just change the SIM out. I have some trouble with the iPhones doing that. Sometimes they don't work as well as my Samsung. so the Samsung oftentimes is.
I'm going to travel with my Google Fi Pixel, because Fi is the same price wherever you are, which is $10 a gigabyte. And it seems to work pretty well in a lot of countries. They've made deals with a lot of different carriers, including T-Mobile, who's everywhere. So I'm just going to see how that works. I was able to, last time I was in Machu Picchu, I had cell service.
Well, and in general, I'm usually pretty impressed with how far T-Mobile goes. For international. That's
everywhere.
One of the reasons that I have. Well, it's the reason I have T-Mobile as one of my phones is because of the ability to most of the time have a phone number that works overseas. So the other one is really just to make it easier for, again, local people to contact, and you get better speeds. The T-Mobile is it's great, but it's like 2G or 3G speeds. Oftentimes you can get a faster connection if you're buying a local SIM. And then in each country, it depends on how easy it is. In Cambodia, you kind of drive by, pick something up, pop it in, and prepay a little bit, and you're done. In Nigeria, it takes a half an hour. They take your fingerprints and they take a picture of you. And
wow.
I was Nigeria, I did it at the airport thinking I was just going to go right by. And
why is that? Is that security?
It's all security. Yeah, they want to know.
So
who
the
you
more
are.
repressive the state.
Well, no, I don't think it's repressive. I think it's really just they've had a lot of, all kinds of people using phones for all kinds of things, So they, it's just more security.
I was just watching season 3 of The Wire, the burner phone episode, and fascinating. I'm learning a lot about how to cover my tracks. If you do not want to spend $90 for Andy's Jelly phone or $400 for that iPhone SE, maybe you'd prefer to spend almost $700 for the new iPhone killer. This is from Andy Rubin, the guy who created Android and sold it to Google, and Sidekick. The guy was he ever at Apple? I feel like he might have been at Apple.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
And General Magic then, yeah. So no headphone jack. And I don't know if, yeah, wild, right? And I don't know if this is going to be a harbinger of things to come. I kind of hope not. It does have a screen that almost entirely fills the fondle slab. So much so that at the top of the screen, there's a cutout for the selfie cam. It actually goes up.
You got to figure that'll go underneath the glass eventually, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
No,
translucent from the other side?
Yeah, I think that'll just be buried underneath the glass.
That would be a good way to do it. Yeah. Right now they're saying, because the notification bar in Android doesn't usually use the middle, you'll probably be all right, although it kind of depends how you set it up. This is going to be $650, but then if you want, you could. By the way, they're taking reservations now. This is the OnePlus strategy. For $50, you can get a 360-degree camera that just magnetically clips on. This is an example from the Knitting Factory of a concert.
He's on Recode tonight. Am I remembering that right? He's on the Recode.
Yeah, he's on stage at their conference. Yeah. So what do you think, Alex? You've done a lot of 360 video. I should go full screen. I can't go full screen, but this looks maybe he's comparable, maybe a little better to the Samsung 360. It's no Osmo, right?
Yeah, I can't tell. In that resolution.
It's hard to say. Hard to tell.
What's the URL on it?
It's essential.com. And they say filmed at the Knitting Factory, a concert venue on an Essential phone. There's also a 2-lens phone, kind of like the iPhone 7, but unlike the iPhone 7, they're doing one of the lenses is monochrome, and they say this is going to give you better low light performance. So it's designed.
I think that's true, but I think it's not going to give you the advances in computational photography we're going to see from Apple with their multi-lens system.
And frankly, Google, both are doing really impressive stuff. How much does Andy know? How much did he take with him? It will be a Snapdragon 835, which is the latest processor. It's pretty much a flagship, all-around flagship phone. And they have these pogo pins in the back, kind of like LG and Moto do with these snap-on things. Oh, this is the thing that's interesting.
I say this 360. I'm on that page. It's pretty impressive.
It looks pretty good that's on your phone.
Yeah, I mean is it built into the phone?
No, it's a snap-on module. It snaps on magnetically. See, the phone has these pogo pins,
right?
And then it just clips on,
almost like the smart connector on the iPad.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, right. That's pogo pins as well.
It looks maybe just a touch soft, but it's you're looking at great low light performance. I mean, you're in a dark area.
That's the other thing. Yeah, it's better than the Ricoh for sure.
Yeah, and definitely, and and you don't really see in the dark. What happens when it gets dark with these 360 cameras is, especially when they're mirrored, is the seam that goes between the two lenses, because of the low frame rate.
Yeah.
You tend to see one seam that goes around it, and I'm having trouble finding.
This is pretty
that.
seamless.
So it's it's a pretty impressive 360 camera, I'd say.
I mean, this is the guy's hand, but it's not.
And that'll tell you, the guy's hand will tell you where that seam is. You can see it going across.
It should be right across here, right?
There.
Yeah, I don't see
so
it.
Then so then you go out from there and you look out, and you
Here's
really don't
a little
see
bit, but not much. Yeah,
a little bit. Usually you would on the Ricoh and probably on the Samsung. You probably that go out quite a bit further.
It's nice.
It is funny, we were 360 at a concert is a funny thing, especially if you like plant it somewhere, because the audience becomes just as interesting as the
absolutely
concert.
Don't you want to watch the fans and up there upside down? I've done something wrong.
I still got to say, the most fascinating VR experiences are concert videos exactly like that, because it's the only place, it's the only easy to do video where you literally can do exactly what I would be doing there, where I'm standing in one position. I can't move around because the crowd is all around me, but I can look all around at any section of the stage. And if I want to turn around and see, why am I hearing some Yahoo going, woo, flame, curtain man, who is that idiot? I can turn around and see the idiot who's yelling curtain man.
And the other thing, Alex, it's got 4 microphones in 3D. They call it ambisonic tetrahedral arrangement.
Yeah, ambisonic is kind of the next big thing.
So that's kind of cool.
Ambisonic is supported in, I believe it's supported in Facebook and in YouTube. So
and finally, the materials. It's using titanium. And ceramic. The idea being that titanium, and I've had titanium watches and stuff, doesn't dent like aluminum does. And
PowerBook G4 meets Apple Watch Edition.
Oh, that's right. The G4 was titanium, wasn't it? Huh.
A lot of that stuff, at least in my experience, like they give great demos, but if it hits the wrong thing at the wrong angle, it's still misery.
Glass is still glass. Glass is always going to break, right?
And titanium is still when I've had titanium products, they sometimes have a paper-like quality to it, where they fatigue really much faster than other materials. And at least in my experience as a user of these things, where maybe if I drop it, it will do better than another material. But after a year and a half, I will start to see little stress cracks in the corners that would certainly not be there before. And I'm not joking. It's like literally, it's like, wow, I'd be taking a piece of hardware that they never asked for back, and I'm looking for, wow, this thing has literally been in a drawer for a year and 3 months. Why are there little tiny cracks in the sides of it?
128 gigs, 4 gigs of RAM, a 3040 milliamp hour battery, which is fairly large for an Android device. This
gives you a sense of a larger ambisonic mic.
Sonic screwdriver, man, literally.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But this is,
so that's 4 capsules. Yeah.
4 capsules there. But that just has a miniature version of that.
Anyway, this is, who even knows what kind of availability there'll be? You have to reserve it, and then you get in line, and we'll find out when it comes out. But some have said iPhone killer. I don't know if that's the case. But
when you can manufacture in smaller quantities, like Amazon showed this with tablets. When you can manufacture in smaller quantities, you can do a lot of interesting things with materials that just don't scale to hundreds of millions of units yet.
Yeah.
So it's cool that we get to see this stuff, though.
Right. I mean, God knows.
Also, this is where a lot of the future of the market is going to be driven, where it doesn't necessarily do things better than any other phone, but my goodness, the materials, the styling, how you feel when you take it out of your pocket, how you feel when you put it on the top of your dresser at the end of the day, that is legitimately part of the experience that people are willing to pay an extra $200 for.
And quite frankly, if the people in Mountain View and Cupertino wake up and the marketing and engineering people, synapses start firing when they look at this and thinking of ideas, and we've got these people on our heels now too. It's better for everybody.
I gotta say, I love the idea of having pogo plug contacts for external cameras, because just think about if all Apple or another company did was saying we don't even have any specific ideas for this stuff, we just think that it'd be so easy to give third-party hard camera manufacturers a pipeline directly into the hardware. And if somebody wanted to take a Sony 20 megapixel sensor and make a capsule like that would simply clip on, for people who want to spend $300 for something that can keep up with live action and low light much better than even an iPhone or a top level Android phone can. That's fascinating. That
would be great. It'd be like if they did the camera module, the extended battery module, the extended speaker module. I mean, not the way that LG did it, where it's like a John Woo movie and you have to eject it, spin around in slow-mo, put the new one in, spin back around. But it's like not like a Lego set or like the fish tank one that Google was working with. But if it's really just Project I'm slapping this on like Project Ara. If you're slapping it on like the smart connector with a keyboard and other technologies, that's fantastic. It's a better way of doing it.
Let's take a break. WordPress is our sponsor today, WordPress.com. That's where my site, Leo Laporte, is, leoville.com, my blog. I have to say I'm really having fun with it. I'm going to be posting a lot of images here, getting ready for that from my trip. WordPress, I started using WordPress, golly, 10 years ago, but I hosted it myself. And then I moved to another platform briefly because they were a sponsor. But I'm so glad WordPress is back because I am so glad to be back on WordPress. And this time I decided not to serve it myself. I didn't want to pay for a server. And frankly, I love the idea that at WordPress.com, not only do they keep it up to date, keep it secure, they've got all the plugins, all the capabilities of my self-hosted, but there's also a community at WordPress.com. In fact, it blows me away when I go to my site and I see that I have more than 500,000 followers at WordPress.com. It's as big as my Twitter feed, people who will get an update when I post on my blog. It's really nice. You should be on WordPress.com. WordPress powers 27% of all the websites in the world. That's an amazing number. And whether you're doing a blog or a business site or both, you're going to make a big impact when you build your website on WordPress.com. A lot of big sites. Thurrott.com runs on WordPress. I think Recode is running on WordPress. Last time I checked. You get built-in search engine optimization. You get social sharing. When you build your website on WordPress.com, not only are you part of a community, you get support from the community and from WordPress directly 24/7. More websites run on WordPress than any other platform. And I know Matt Mullenweg, the guy who created it in the first place, and I've known these guys for years, and I'm just so thrilled to have them on our network. I think we were the first podcast they'd ever tried, and I'm just thrilled about it. WordPress.com/MacBreak. We've got a deal. Of course we do. If you go to WordPress.com/MacBreak, you get 15% off any new plan purchase. Of course, there's a free tier too, but if you're a business, you're going to want to get one of the business tiers and save 15%. But look at the website and find the membership plan that's right for you. WordPress.com/MacBreak. I love my new WordPress site. I have all the widgets, for social media. It takes my tweets. It takes my Instagrams. Makes it very easy for me to post stuff. And all my podcasts are there too. WordPress.com/MacBreak. Oh, let's see. On we go. I got a little bit behind here, and I should have been paying attention to the time. We got another half hour before we have to run out. Let's see. Interesting little tidbit. Apple staff has been told, the Apple Care workers have been told, don't take your vacation after September 17th. Don't take your vacation after September 17th.
I think that happens every year.
Is it always the same date?
It's always around. I mean, the carriers will do stuff too. Like the carriers will say they'll have blackout periods.
It means that's when the iPhone will be out, and we're going to need a lot of workers on hand, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And it could be the 7S. Sorry, the 7S and 7S Plus. It may not be the 8 yet, but
right.
Yeah, it's also not terribly shocking that, wow, that means there's going to be a new iPhone, and it'll probably happen in mid to late September.
Yeah, I guess. All right, never mind. I'm looking for anything.
Oh, no, I'm not making fun. It's a data point, and
it's just another data point. It's just more news. LG is building a $3.5 billion OLED factory in Korea. Of course, the expectation is that they're going to do that because they'd love to get some of that nice Apple money. Mm-hmm. Samsung, of course, has a deal to do, I think, 95 million OLED displays this year for Apple, probably for the iPhone 8. But Apple, as you know, nobody likes to have a single supplier, certainly not Apple. Yeah. But now don't get your hopes up. I hope that when you build this LG that you can make micro LED as well.
Yeah. And Quantum Dot and whoever else they go to.
micro LED's on its way.
Holographics, man. It's all about the holographics.
I just learned about micro LED, and now I'm just like I'm all over it.
Yeah, it's also possible that part of the math that went into building this plant is maybe when we get closer to having this plant ready and up to capacity, some company is going to pre-buy all of our output for the next 3 or 4 years, thus guaranteeing its profitability. Because with so many companies making so many devices that require the identical type components, constraints are happening everywhere, and if you can lock down ownership of, we will be able to. If we sell 4 times as many phones as in our most avaricious nightmares, we will still be able to have enough screens to make that happen. That's a big win for everybody.
Is Jony Ive on sabbatical? Is he hanging around the campus? Do we know?
Building a whole new campus.
Yeah, that new campus is up and almost running. I guess. Do you think he's involved at this point, though? It's just mostly.
Yeah. He's probably hand polishing all those windows and sticking them in place.
He's probably just roaming every single room with a screwdriver, making sure that all the wall plates, make sure the lines of the screw holes line up vertically and not horizontally.
Very important. Well, we know his compatriot at Apple, Mark Newsom, has been working on a new product, a $12,000 hourglass filled with nanoballs.
But look at those nanoballs.
But they're the most beautiful nanoballs ever made.
Microballs aren't good enough for Apple designers, are they? We have to have nanoballs.
This is for Hodinkee, which is Kevin Rose's watch blog site.
Yeah.
Kevin is kind of, I think he's out of the day-to-day operations. He's like chairman of the board now. Hodinkee explains why you might want a $12,000 nanoball filled hourglass.
Because someone else has one.
Yeah, there's only 100 of them, so, here they are in all their nano glory. They're moving very, very slowly.
It is perhaps one of the most fundamental objects in the world of timekeeping and arguably one of the oldest. But I love the fact that it's so sort of deeply esoteric. It has this strange sort of mesmeric quality. On one hand, you're witnessing time.
It does look beautiful. It sounds like rain or something.
Does it look $12,000 beautiful?
It actually, if anything,
to somebody who can't afford $12,000 on a car, it looks like it's not worth that. But for someone who is really into this and has enough money to pursue things that they enjoy,
So they're kind of magnetic. It looks like they kind of arrange themselves. I want nanobots in my hourglass. I'd pay $12,000 for nanobots in there that spell out my name or something.
One of the special 100-piece editions.
I bet Kevin Rose has one.
I don't think they're magnetic at all. I think it's just that they're just perfectly round.
Okay.
They just organize themselves.
Self-organizing balls.
That's all we need.
Are they in the ball union?
Is there any other kind?
Wow, Tim Cook's doing actually the glass blowing.
That's kind of neat.
That's why
Tim needed a hobby. He needed a hobby. Just a little something on the side.
You want something done right, you got to do it yourself.
That's right. That's right. Don't think Steve Jobs didn't blow some glass in his time.
I thought that was Stick from the Daredevil show.
Yeah.
Like nano-blah.
I just feel so sorry for the kids in any house whose parent owns one of these, because it'll be something that is genetically designed to provoke a genetic response of joy and interest in a small child. But I swear, if I come home and I even smell peanut butter in my office, you are getting spanked, young man.
If I come home and there's peanut butter on my nanoballs, you're going to hear from my attorney. So I guess Mark has a little free time. I don't know.
It's a cool object.
If you break it, that's going to be a lot of cleanup. Like getting rid of all the nanoballs. You'll be finding nanoballs.
Have you ever? Yeah, you're going to have nanoballs in your ears. You're going to have them everywhere. There's not. Every crevice will be filled with nanoballs. You're going to be very sorry. Those things get Have you ever had that happen? They get everywhere.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Apple Maps, according to a site called imore.com, Apple Maps now...
Fake news.
Fake news. It's yellow. It's the new yellow iMore. Now Apple Maps will let you tour Apple Park in 3D glory.
Yep. Just don't look for the design lab.
Oh, is it really? Is it blanked out?
No, I don't identify it. But it's all there. It's really awesome.
Yeah. By the way, if you're not in California, make sure you say Apple Park, Cupertino, California, because according to your correspondent, Micah Sargent, who lives in the Midwest. He got Apple Park, which is an apple orchard in Kansas, and that's not in 3D.
Yep.
I would show you,
but you will not get shot at.
I would show you, but Apple Maps doesn't work on Windows.
Well, the JavaScript version does, but it won't get you very far.
Yeah.
Making a website that can be displayed on more than one platform, that's tricky stuff. You got to have some pretty good engineers to make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah,
believe you me.
Yeah.
Well, they probably did a quick analysis and decided that the number of people using it probably wasn't worth the engineering.
Yeah. You use Apple Maps because you have an Apple device, probably, right?
What a pep talk. Now, men, women, we realize that you're running a piece of software that people use because it's the default app and they've never heard of Google Maps. So for these 181 people, don't really think about anybody else than these 181 people. But do your best. Wow, I'm so glad that I let my startup be bought by Apple so I could be working on Apple Maps now. I'm sorry, I'm being mean. I'm sure it's wonderful.
Nice cover on the New Yorker this week. I don't know if you saw it. It's a basketball court in the city. Guys playing hoops, drawn on an iPad. Isn't that nice? Tim Cook shared it on his Twitter feed with a quote from the artist Jorge Colombo. It's Brooklyn Bridge Park in Brooklyn Heights, and he sketched it with an iPad and an Apple Pencil. Jorge says, I was worried the ball would hit me or the iPad as he sketched it. That's kind of cool.
Amazing stuff.
I have to say, if you really want to see what an iPad can do, or even an iPhone, if you go to I think a lot of these are public. Let me see. Oh, maybe they're not. The Coley Wirtz is a artist out of ILM that posts these things that he does on his iPhone.
How do you spell his name?
Shop. COLIE.WERTZ. I used to work with Coley, and one of the most amazing artists I know. But I don't know how many of these are public. Maybe they're.
Yeah, there's a gallery at ColeyWirtz.com.
Yeah, if you do
3D art though.
Yeah, he posts these sketches that he does. Oh, I did this on my phone, and it's like a piece of artwork that you put on the.
Yeah, it must be nice to have talent.
The guy who did the storyboards for Pacific Rim is now doing them for Designated Survivor, and he does it all on the iPad. And he says he really likes it because if he makes a mistake, it's not like scratching out and redoing stuff.
But if you click on some of those sketches, you may see. Let's see here.
Coley Wirtz.
But he'll list like what he did it on, and a lot of it is on an iPhone or iPad, and he's just like just another sketch.
Yeah.
So neat. So neat.
It's so neat. It really is like both iPhones, iPads, Windows devices. It's just so tightly integrated now into the process where people will do their first sketches on this because it's handy, and maybe they're waiting for a bus, or maybe because just it's simply their favorite tablet, and then they just simply bring it into another atmosphere. So I know a lot of artists they're traditional media artists, but they will do all of their layouts and all of their thinking on an iPad or again on a Windows tablet, and then the last step, the end of Act 1 of the process is they essentially use the iPad as a light box, and from that point onward, they're working off of pencils and inks that they're creating that was basically generated on this iPad. There's no line, there's no division. It's just art.
Brand new video of Apple Park as we get closer and closer, and this one from Maverick Media is unique. I guess he flies the drone into the theater. What? Or maybe he's just going to look through the windows. It's our first look inside this amazing Apple Theater. This is the above ground portion, which is where you would come in, get your badge and your muffin. And then there's an underground theater that seats, what was it, 1,300 or something like that? It's bigger than the old one anyway. This is so gorgeous because it's 4K drone photography that it looks like a model. It doesn't look real. It really doesn't. It look kind of like a model.
Yeah, especially with that lighting.
Yeah, it's midday lighting. It's.
I can't wait for the Apple TV screensaver version of this.
Oh, Apple's got to do it, right?
Their new ones are magnificent. The one of the sunrise or sunset in the Arctic with just the ice and the water. I couldn't stop staring at it. I just spent like 5 minutes
watching TV on my Apple TV. Just let the
they really are magnificent.
Screensaver. Yeah. You can see inside. They're working on the. I talked to an Apple employee a couple of days ago. He said he's going to have an office inside the Ring. I asked him when. He says, "No, still a few months off." What is that building in the middle there? This new, is that just temporary structure? Or is that
could be?
Yeah, it might be. This is the inside. Is the park, of course.
Still no corner office for Tim Cook. That's the only thing he asked, Jony, was make me a corner office. And
Steve said, no corner office for you. I'm making the whole thing round. Yeah, that's got to be a temporary building. Yeah. Probably is a construction office. What's this barn? That must have been preserved.
Petting zoo. They get their own petting zoo.
Cool.
That's a Ferrari garage.
Oh, that's where they're building the blimp. Sergey's got one. Tim wants one.
Did you see the price on that blimp?
No. Sergey Brin, the founder of Google, is, Google has been renting Moffett Field, which used to be an aerodrome for Zeppelins many moons ago. And so they have these giant hangars, blimp hangars. And it turns out Sergey's actually building a blimp in one of them. But how much, Alex?
There was an article about it, and I think they said it was like $150 to $180 million.
That's nothing for him.
Didn't they have a 747 party jet for a while that they parked at the NASA field?
Exactly. I'm pretty sure they have a 747. I don't know if it's a party
that's
jet.
the NASA field.
It was when they were younger, Alex, back when they could still party.
Yeah.
Now they definitely get about on their own.
There's nothing better for parties than a Zeppelin.
I bless them, Leo, because if I had that many billions of dollars in my 20s, I don't think I would have seen the other end of it. I would have been like, I can fly this 747. What mountain? No, it's black.
So here's this is the security. I think this is the security. This is the place I will never get past right here. As you go in,
that's the Leo Laporte tackling zone right there.
Stop Leo zone. Yeah. I'm gonna get a bulldozer, and no, I'm not gonna do that. Don't worry, I didn't mind. I don't. Jeez,
that's fine, because now you'll find out how many of those trees are actually Apple security people in ghillie suits.
I am gonna though. As soon as we get a little closer to September, call Apple.
How many are competitors in ghillie suits?
You gotta let me in just once. I promise. No cameras. I won't bring any electronics. I won't bring a Windows laptop. I promise. Just let me in. I'll wear an Apple Watch. I swear to God. Just let me in. I got to go to that event.
Laporte's on the campus. The doctor.
Some guy talking into his sleeve.
Exterminate.
Well, they do have RoboCops now in Dubai, so could be.
Your move, creep.
Yeah. Apple Watch is, we've always said it, but now we know it's true, the most accurate heart rate monitor in a wrist-worn device. Recent study from Stanford against...
I'll let Serenity explain this, because I have no idea.
There is Serenity looking very serious as R2 detonator.
Yes.
A group of scientists at Stanford in partnership with the Swedish School of Sport and Health Services, I should say, the Swedish School of Sport and Health Services in Stockholm claim the Apple Watch monitor has the smallest margin of error, 2% out of 7 tested devices, including the Mio Alpha 2, the Pulson, the Microsoft Band, which is no longer made, the Fitbit Surge, the Basis Peak. Pretty close. The gold standard that they compared it to, I presume, they don't say, but I presume is a chest strap, or maybe one of those things, electrical things you hold. Neither Garmin's nor Polar's sports-specific wrist tracker were included in this study. So maybe there are better ones out there. This is only against these other 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are companies that specialize in this stuff, like Polar. So yeah.
It shows you how hard I think Apple is working to get that word of mouth amongst people who are really using these devices seriously. That I think that if you tell people that by a wide margin, this is the most accurate heart rate monitor that's simply built into a convenient watch, you don't have to wear a strap or anything. That's how you get everybody who's interested in fitness wearing your device. It'll take a lot to turn people's attention away from that, because it's not only just good on the face of it, but it also communicates here is how seriously this designer, this manufacturer is taking the purpose of this device.
Yeah.
So
Well, and whether there's better devices, 2% is pretty darn close. I will take that for sure. Yeah.
Especially in a watch device that has a bunch of other featers woven into it as well.
It is the case, though, that you have to wear it right. And if you have a particularly hairy arm or a tattooed arm, or if you're not white, it may not work as well, right?
I think it's mostly the tattoo, like the variegation and the opacity of a tattoo that has caused it problems. I don't think it's caused problems otherwise.
I don't have to shave a little patch on my wrist.
Don't worry, the rubber band will take care of that. Yeah, exactly.
Actually, it works it's what I use when I really want to keep track of my heart rate. And I often do compare it to a chest strap or the handles on my treadmill or my exercise bicycle. And it's always very accurate. But occasionally it'll lose track. And I think that's because it's slid down lower. It's not as tight or whatever.
Or if it's loose, yeah. But it should lock if it loses contact for long enough. It should lock on you, and you'll know.
What does that mean?
Because it uses the connection to your skin to maintain the access to the device. So, so if it loses contact with your skin, it should go back into lock screen.
Yeah, no, it hasn't. It didn't do that. But the other day I was working with a trainer, and it was pretty accurate. And then all of a sudden, it went from 121 beats per minute to 84 or something. And I know what my heart was still beating. So. Oh
no, it was like equilibrium, Leo. When you just like the guy's on the machine, and suddenly Leo takes a breath, and he goes, "Not completely without incident."
What a recovery rate! What a recovery rate! All right, let's take a break. Your picks of the week, my friends, coming up in moments. But first, I want to tell you why I smell so good. You probably noticed. You smell awfully good these days. It's actually an issue for me. I can't wear cologne. Lisa is very sensitive to strong smells. In fact, I have to get her approval before I use any product. And I've been using Oars and Alps lately, and she loves it. It's nice. In fact, if you have a college graduate, you're celebrating, or a father, maybe you have a teenage boy, you got to give them Oars and Alps. This was designed by Laura and Mia, two great entrepreneurs who had sportsman husbands. And as we all know, guys, it's the ladies in our life who tell us you need to take care of your skin. It's not you. So they designed skincare products for their husbands, worked with leading chemists to help men with skin that gets dried out in extreme outdoor conditions. But also, I go to the gym, as I was mentioning, and this is so great. I didn't used to carry face wash. Now I carry the Oars and Alps stick. This never spills. It's a solid face wash for men, and men like it because, watch, you put it on, and it's like you're getting ready for the big game, right? It blackens your face, and the reason is this is activated charcoal in it, not microbeads. I don't use anything with microbeads anymore because that's bad for the environment. But the charcoal works great to give you a little abrasion to clean off the dead skin cells. You can actually wash your face without washing your face. Look at that. And then I just love it. It smells so great. Great for traveling. That's the Oars and Alps power cleansing face stick, but they also make an Oars and Alps active deodorant, active armor with alpine caribou moss. Now, there's no aluminum in this. This is not an antiperspirant. And I know there's sometimes you want to wear an antiperspirant, but when you're working out or hiking or you're rowing, it's important you sweat. You do not want to block your sweat glands with aluminum. Besides, aluminum is not great for you. But this will keep you from stinking. So you smell good, but you still sweat. So this is what you want to wear. Your skincare should keep up with your on-the-go lifestyle. What a great gift for Father's Day. Oars and Alps. I'll tell you the deal in a second. This is the face moisturizer and eye cream. They knew that guys wouldn't use both, two different products. So they made one. A 2-in-1 hydrating and anti-aging face and eye cream. It's non-greasy. It's fast-absorbing. And guys aren't going to complain about the smell, and neither are the ladies. Lisa loves how it smells. I got to tell you, this is a great product and a great gift. Oars is in rowing. Alps is in skiing. They're offering the TWiT audience a fresh start and a great gift. Comes in a beautiful package. Join the thousands of guys using Oars and Alps by visiting oursandalps.com/twit. You'll get 15% off your first order. Oars, and Alps. Get it? OARSANDALPS.com/twit. Smells great, works great, and it's a great price. All of these products last you about 3 months. This stick, which looks small, is really great for the gym bag or for travel. All of these, by the way, TSA size. So they're no problem getting them through the screening. But this little product, this lasts 3 months. It's great. Oursandalps.com/twit. We thank them for the support of MacBreak Weekly. And now it is time, ladies and gentlemen, for our picks of the week. And we haven't had a really good Alex pick in a while. I'm ready.
Wallets. Get out your wallets.
Get out your wallets, kids.
No, this one isn't too bad. This one is, it's made by a company called Luma Labs. And if you look at it here, let's see here.
Ray Koenig.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this little guy here is a light meter. And so we have oftentimes needs to know exactly how bright things are. So, and to calibrate what your camera's set to. And these light meters can get pretty expensive, to get this. And so what you're able to do is actually push this into your headphone jack. You can use it through an adapter if you have an iPhone 7. But you push it into the headphone jack and it's talking to the phone. And then it's measuring if I hit the little button here, boom. Let's see here. There you go. There's my lumens right now, which is just it's for $60. It's pretty nifty.
That is a great product.
You can have it be lux or foot candles, and there's there's other settings there that you can have. So you can have guide your settings on your camera. So there's a couple different ways of managing this, but anyway, it's something that I need often enough, and it's great. It comes in a little case, and you can just kind of throw it in there and measure the lights, measure your light, your ambient light, your spot meter, and so on and so forth. So it's pretty cool. It's made by again, it's called the Luma Light Meter, and it's by Luma Labs.
LU.mu is the website. LU.mu, right?
Yep.
Sees the light. It's funny because there are plenty of light meter apps for the iPhone, and none of them were really very usable. So I ended up just buying a standalone light meter.
Right. And this one, this one is, having a dedicated sensor. It's one thing to try to use the camera, but really having a dedicated sensor makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, plus there's the issue of incident light or reflected light, right? And so this is nice. So you can, and this measures color temperature too, as well as luminance. That's neat. Compatible with all iOS devices because it uses the Lightning connector, not the headphone jack.
Well, the one I have is the headphone jack.
Oh, well, this is different then.
So then
this is more expensive.
A more expensive or newer version that I don't have.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I think it's
now I'm crushed.
Now maybe. Well, wait a minute. Now maybe this is a different one.
No, I think you have the right one.
It looks the same, right?
It looks the same, except that it looks like this
is a new one that they designed for the iPhone 7, and
it's pre-order.
It's more expensive. It's $229,
and it doesn't look like it looks like it's pre-ordered for.
Yes, it's not
shipping
out
this
yet.
month.
Yeah,
or so
this is the same company. It's just a.
Yeah, it does look like it's got a couple extra features in it.
So if you want the one with the headphone jack, that's a lot. It's half the price, a third the price, an eighth the price. I don't know what it is. It's a lot less.
It's math less
the price. It's a quarter of the price, and
even at $300, buying a real one is going to cost you $4 to $5.
Oh yeah, they're a good light meters, and this one is great because you can then, this is what you want to do: record that reading in your phone, so you have a note of it. See, I'm really bad at making. John taught me this, making notes on the settings that I used for a shot. But this will record it for you.
And also the thing is it allows them to, the light meter interfaces tend to be inherently messed up.
Horrible.
So I mean they're great light meters, but they're just not good interfaces. And so once you move it to the iPhone, I feel like, I have another one that does temperature. It's little. The
new one does temperature. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what this one does.
Yeah.
If this one does, but but I have one that's specifically a temperature gauge. And just now you have a full interface on your iPhone.
Nice.
And the sensor itself is very basic. It's all the math that goes into figuring out what that sensor means, and that can more easily be done on an iPhone than a dedicated piece of hardware.
All that, and a tenth of an Alex.
There you go.
Amazing.
Boom.
Andy Anako, your pick of the week.
This is really, really fun. I've had this for a couple months now. This is the Samsung Gear 360 version 2 camera.
Is it out now, or do I have to buy the European or the Korean version?
No. You can get it on Amazon now. They didn't announce a price a couple months ago. It's only $229, which is not a lot of money, and for a super, super fun camera. In addition to the pictures it takes, I love the form factor of it. It is like a Miyazaki sort of wood sprite sort of shape where you see these things like gathering in the dust, but you just hold it up. There is a power on button. All there is it makes this cool noise when you turn it on. When you turn it on after forgetting, there you go.
There it is.
Makes a squish, and then all you see is just an OLED screen that says, "Here's how much video recording time you have left." There's a simple mode button for switching between pictures, still pictures, and video, and it's just one button right here. And because it's a 360-degree camera, it really doesn't matter where you aim it. you just hold it, and it will take a picture.
It took me a while with the Ricoh to remember that I don't have to point it at something and just hold it up.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, but the shape of it is so fun to just you press a button and bang, great, one click, and now you've got a 360-degree picture.
Now, do I have to have a Galaxy phone to use this?
No, this is one of the improvements over last year's model. If you have an iPhone, there's software for the iPhone so that you can remote control it. You can live stream through Facebook and YouTube through it. If you have an Android phone, you still, for some reason, the app is limited to the Samsung Galaxies, or you just simply put a piece of software on your Mac or on your PC, which will let you download and transmogrify an even higher resolution version of it. For 360-degree photos, it will actually just write a version of that photo to it. For videos, you can't do anything with what's on here. It does have a 256. Excuse me. It does have a SD card slot for its own storage, USB-C charging, but it also has, of course, a built-in tripod socket. So if you're shooting video, you really have to have it. Don't be running around with it because that will be super annoying. You really do want to have it on a tripod. But for $229, that's not a lot of money. That's what a lot of people are spending for an action cam, which is what they buy to have in the house for their family videos, for fun stuff. And this is a fun extra camera. Imagine when you're traveling, just hold something up. I shot this video on a tripod in the middle of an oval during one of Ren's roller derby, which means that it's just shooting 360-degree video. So of course this is a game where people are doing laps around this track. So you can watch where people are blocking. You can watch where the jammers are going. If there's a tussle you missed, you can look back and go see it. Imagine just doing that in pretty much anywhere you want to go, or imagine being in some place that's really, really pretty, and in about 5 seconds you can just simply take a full 360-degree photo that lets you a week later or years later just look anywhere you want to go in it. Resolution is very, very good. It's as Alex said, if it's in low light, it is true you kind of might see the seam between the front and the back cameras, but in bright light it works great. You're not going to see stunning 4K video because remember, you're basically taking two hemispheres of video here, so the resolution might seem a little less than stellar, but for what it's doing, it's really a lot of fun. It really and once again, it comes in a nice little cloth lens tissues type bag. So easy to it really is part of my daily carry. It's in my laptop bag. It's inside my backpack. If I'm outside of the house for more than a day, it's definitely in that bag with me. And I can't say that of other cameras I have because
can you use it with a Pixel, or does it have to be an iPhone or a Samsung?
No. It has to be either an iPhone or a Samsung. Okay. If you want to use take live preview and start and stop recording remotely, or stream it live to YouTube or Facebook.
Oh, but you could record right to the camera.
Exactly. It has built-in storage, again, it's SD card, so you can have a huge amount of storage.
Okay.
And then simply when you get home, use an app on your Windows machine or on your Mac to pull off the video. It'll stitch it all together and post it to YouTube or Facebook in a 360-degree version that service is going to understand.
Right.
And and the cool thing, you don't have to do anything with it. It's all I did was I uploaded a video file to YouTube, as generated by a phone app in this case, and just YouTube knows, okay, it's been properly tagged and meta, whatever, so it knows it's 360 degrees. And just by virtue of the fact that it's up on YouTube means that you're going to have, it's going to be presented in 360 degrees.
This looks a lot better than their 360 from last year, this quality of the image.
Yeah, it was, I think the quality's a lot better. Also, it's a hell of a lot more convenient. Like I said, I really think that one of the things that they were focusing on with this redesign is to make it less of a tool for broadcasters interested in a 360-degree coverage, and make it more like, here's something that if you want to have fun with video, this will be a fun thing. I mean, for heaven's sake, again, look at this. It's just a fun thing to take pictures with.
Yeah, so, I think the form factor works a lot better than the original one. The original one still has an advantage that the frame rate at 4K is a little bit higher than the new one. But it's a pain to try to. You couldn't really hold it. You really had to have something that it was on, and so being able to pull this one out.
So I have the old one, so I could use the old one.
The old one I don't think will stream, and again, it has an advantage that I think it's 30 frames a second instead of 25 at 3840 by 2160. But it is, but outside of that, it's a.
Is the still image better on this new one or the old? Because I wouldn't buy this if I have the old one.
The old one still is higher resolution still, but I'm not 100% sure. I couldn't find the exact spec, but I believe that they basically, to get that the more convenient form factor, I think we gave up a little bit of resolution. I think they found that those were out there. So the original one is not necessarily not something you'd want if you really want to get every ounce of out of it. But it is so much more convenient. I have both of them, and it's so much more convenient to use the little one. So
yeah, this one, the lens part of it is about the size of a ping pong ball. The version 1 last year, it's almost the size of a cue ball. It's so big, which is still pocketable, but it's the sort of size where I would give it some thought before deciding to bring it with me if I were leaving the house. Whereas, I mean, I'm going to be in New York for a day and a half, and there's no way I'm not taking this with me. Not because I have any plans to shoot photos or video with it, but why not? And if I find myself I'm hoping to see the Rose Reading Room at the New York Public Library was closed for a year and a half, 2 years, after it looked as though some of the decorative things on that high ceiling were coming down and about to kill people. So they closed it for a year and a half to make it less like a kill floor for nerds.
So should I bring this to the Galapagos?
Yeah,
I'd bring the hell out of it.
And Machu Picchu.
I'd bring the hell
I think
out of it
Machu Picchu would be cool to have a 360 image to
see.
All right,
do it.
It doesn't look very heavy. I'm really up against the weight barrier.
No, it's super. Super easy.
Your Batman utility belt, Leo. Just strap it in instead of the grappling hook.
Yeah, they say I can only bring 8 kilograms of luggage to Machu Picchu, so I have to. Every ounce counts.
Yeah. You can think about it.
I can put it in my Scott E vest. I'll just put it in the.
Put it in the hat. Can we have a hide in the hat?
No, this is my emotional support camera.
Yeah, I have to have this.
I have a note from my doctor that says that I have to be able to keep this with me all the time. But yeah, I bought tickets to visit the Crown of the Statue of Liberty, and you have to buy them like 8 months in advance or whatever, and they only allow you one camera into the Crown because you have to check everything because too much bulk. So everything else you carrying goes into a locker at the base if you're going to make all that climb, and it's going to be a hard decision to make if I'm going to take a quote real camera or not, or something that will let me just have fun looking around months later.
So, well, if you're into VR, Rene Ritchie's pick is going to get you pretty darn excited, Rene.
Yes, we spoke about this briefly earlier, but Ubisoft has just launched the Star Trek Bridge game. It's available. What's really cool about it, it's available for the Oculus. So if you have an Oculus, you can play. It's available for the Vive. So if you have the Vive, you can play. And it's even available for the PlayStation VR. So if you have a PlayStation VR and a PS4, PS4 Pro, you can play. And if you have a Ubisoft account or you create a Ubisoft account, you can multiplay, which is a real interesting thing. I haven't got a chance to play it yet. It's just coming out today, but Russell Hawley from VR Heads has been totally immersed in it for the last 3 or 4 days. I think he's logged more hours than the original Enterprise mentioned.
Oh, so it's not just looking around the bridge. It's a game.
You're playing. You are up to 4 of the bridge crew at the same time controlling it. You start off with the USS Aegis, and it takes place in the Kelvin universe, which is the J.J. Abrams version of the Star Trek universe. And it starts off with the Aegis because it's sort of that ship is built to use VR controls, but you can play the Enterprise later, and they've recreated the Enterprise controls, which are apparently much, much harder. So it's recommended that you start with the Aegis. And you can play by yourself, but that's also really hard. But you can get up to 4 of your friends, and you each take and you keep a bridge position, and you play as if you are really the people running the starship. And you can do Kobayashi Maru, which is a famous mission from Star Trek 2 where Kirk, cheated his way to saving all the survivors from the Klingons. You can play some other missions, and it's It sounds really amazing. I'd not be able to drag Russell out of it. Georgia Instabought it this morning, and she says we're playing it all night and into tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to it. But this, to me, is like the promise of VR being sort of like a holodeck. And yeah, AR is definitely the future, but there are places, especially entertainment, where VR, the ability to be totally immersed in an environment with some of your friends and doing something that you've only imagined doing. Like every Star Trek episode when you were a kid, you wanted to be there at the science station or the helm or one of those stations, and this actually puts you there. And this is just the beginning. Like soon, Andy will have his dream, and he'll be the one firing the Death Star, and Alex will be flying the jet that he designed for Queen Amidala. And I'm so excited about all this. Again, you can't play any of this on a Mac yet, which is sort of sad. Hopefully we'll get to do that one day. But if you have a PlayStation or you have a gaming PC and you have one of these headsets, it looks like it's one of the first big games I've really been excited about.
I think it's interesting you do multiplayer too. Wow.
Yeah.
So Russell says the Vive is the best way to play this, but it is available for the Vive, the Rift, and the PlayStation VR.
PlayStation's in-room experience, I don't think, is up to par with the Vive. I think Oculus is getting closer with their room experience, but I think Vive really nailed that early on.
Oh, man, I might have to buy this.
You and Lisa and Michael and everybody, Leo, just commanding.
We could all play it together.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, you'd have to have individual PCs and Vives for each player.
Yes. Yeah. And Lisa will be yelling, fire everything, fire everything, fire everything, and expecting you to do it. But other than that, it'll be great.
So I want her to be Uhuru.
No, she's taking the captain's chair. If there's anything we want.
Yeah, she'll be in the captain's chair. I'll be
Janeway.
I'll be Captain. I can't get any more thrust out of it.
And apparently they patched the cheat. You can't do the Kirk cheat in this version. This is post Spock fixing the Kirk cheat. So
I'm told we'll be showing this on the new screensavers this weekend.
Awesome.
So there you go. If you want to see more, Saturday afternoon.
Well, and I think that
we're going to play with 4 people. We've got 4 PS4s.
Wow.
We spared no expense on this one. Somebody's taking home one of those PS4s.
It's going to be so good. You'll keep playing until the next screensavers.
From I know. Ubisoft. I won't be going on vacation. I'll be staying home.
Yep. I think we'll definitely see just the beginnings of VR really becoming interesting.
Yeah, this is the first game where I've been thinking, oh, wow, I might really want to play this.
Have you played Robo Recall?
No, everybody loves that. I got to be careful because I feel like I could get sick.
And Rec Room is ridiculously fun.
Yeah,
I have to limit how much my son's allowed to play. I mean, I don't want him to spend too much time with his.
I have to limit how much you can play, Alex, because it's just
it's like the perfect. So I just do that. I don't actually. I go through the whole levels sometimes without using the guns, and I just rip everybody's head off. And it's a much better exercise. You just teleport, grab them, rip the head off, teleport, grab them, and it's much better exercise. You can go faster with the guns.
No, I'm not a
simulator. It's not official, but there's a lightsaber simulator. It's amazing exercise, and you can actually battle now, and you're just fighting those drones, and it feels like you've been through an intense workout at the end.
I know.
Wow. Yeah. All right, kids, we've got to wrap this up. Steve Gibson's getting all excited here. Thank you so much for being here, Alex Lindsay.
Absolutely.
I had a fantasy that you might come back, and you did. Alex is at the Pixel Core. You could follow him on the Twitter at Alex Lindsay. In fact, if you do that, you'll probably be best able to keep up with all the things he does, including his workshops, his Final Cut workshops, and more. At Alex, Lindsay. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Great to see you. Andy Iannacco, Chicago Sun-Times. That's his home. But you can also find him on CWOB.com, and he makes a regular appearance here. And on, tell me the shows. Iannacco's Almanac, still doing that?
I had to take it on hiatus because it debuted on election night, and I was way too depressed to work on show 2. But
that was it.
I've got 3 more shows that are done as soon as I have 4 or 5, so that there will be no more interruption of service. Is redoing. If you're in the Boston area, I'm going to be back on Boston NPR tomorrow, talking about all kinds of tech policy stuff and whatever they want to talk about. I'm actually finishing up the briefing doc in the next hour or so.
Nice.
So.
You'll find almanac and material. Well, there was one almanac, and you'll find material which has 101 episodes at relay.fm. You know who does a lot of... Sorry?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, say Iannacco.com, Iannacco on Twitter, Iannacco on Instagram. If you spell my name, you get access to whatever is there.
The mnemonic is I have no idea how to spell it. IHN. I have no ATKO.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good mnemonic. I like it. If you go to imore.com, that's where Mr. Rene Ritchie hangs his hat, including some fabulous podcasts as well.
Thank you.
iMore is this the redesign now? This is nice. I like it.
No, this is we're still working on the new homepage. I'll send you the link, Leo. But this is part of the redesign. But we have a fancy new homepage coming your way.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you can find out apparently more about Carpool Karaoke, which we did not mention. It's coming to Apple Music
August 8th.
Yeah, nice. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. We do MacBreak Weekly on Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1800 UTC. I will not be here next week. Who's hosting next week?
I am hosting next week.
Andy Anako's hosting next week.
With 3 empty chairs, which I'm filling as we speak with really interesting people.
Yeah, that's one of the things we do, which makes it really fun when we have people filling in for me, is they get to plan the show and make it their own. So I look forward to listening after I get back.
I am not a puppet, Rene. I reject this categorically.
That's Canadian stereotype, sir. Canadian stereotype.
This is beaver puppet.
Do not all look that way.
I'm a groundhog, sir. I'm not a beaver. Look at my bat. I do not have a beaver bat. It's a groundhog bat.
Sorry, groundhog. It's the teeth fool me.
Things like this is what the reason why we're replacing you next week.
Tune in next week for all the fun. Thank you for being here. We will be back next week, and then the week after. Who's going to host the week after? We'll find out. And I'll be back the week after that. 2 weeks from today. 3 weeks from today. I don't know how.
Have a good time, Leo.
Enjoy.
Enjoy.
How it all works. I'll be back on June 20th. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time. But now you have to go back to work, because guess what? Break time is over. Bye-bye.